Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to Breakfast Extra, the best way to start your Saturday with a plate full of news and a cup of hot takes and a side of spice. Myself, Mazino Appeal here, and we're still recovering from the Valentine's Day financial heartbreak that hit many Nigerians harder than the economy itself. But hey, we did it after all, didn't we? We loved, we spent, we conquered, albeit with a few debit alerts still haunting our dreams. If there's any one thing Nigerians really know how to do, well, it's how to weather the storm. Well, and by the way, it was International Mother Tongue Day over the week. Let's see how I can do this now. Oh dear, darn it, this is troublesome. But I guess we'll get back to that eventually. But speaking of storms from before, a political thunderclap has just erupted on both sides of the Atlantic. On one end, Donald Trump, yes, that guy, has called for an investigation into USAID's funding activities in Africa, especially here in Nigeria. On the other hand, Nigeria's lawmakers have suddenly found their inner detectives and Sherlock Holmes and launched their own probe into the same matter. It's like watching a 100-meter dash with two sprinters, one with stopwatch and the other one with a sundial and wearing sandals. The race is on. Who's going to finish first? Who will uncover the biggest scandal? And most importantly, whose findings will you believe? Let's just hope this doesn't turn out to be one of those copy-paste situations from primary school where you're looking over Chinedu's shoulders to check his questions or answers. In this case, where our own committee peeks over the Americans' shoulders for answers. Now, while Nigeria is busy launching investigations, some people were busy launching confusion. Enter the Lagos State House of Assembly, where the DSS decided that democracy needed a little surveillance. The newly minted Speaker, Honorable Miranda, walked up to her office only to find DSS operatives barring the entrance like nightclub bouncers on a power trip. Hours later, however, after her colleagues rallied around her, the doors magically swung open, but not before the rumor mills went into overdrive, with responses and reports of her resignation spreading faster than VDM's homosexual allegations. Yes, I said it. In the end, however, she stayed put. But it doesn't make you wonder, does it? How exactly or who exactly sent the DSS, and why does Lagos politics now feel like an overly dramatized script by a toddler? That's what it's looking like. But all of that pales in comparison to the revelation that sent shockwaves through Nigeria on Thursday. It's not like we didn't know. But in any case, Maradona launched a book. No, not that Maradona. Maradona, this time, the general himself, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. The man, the myth, the master dribbler of Nigerian politics. Back in the 80s, he was internationally dubbed Maradona for his ability to say one thing and do a totally different thing with legendary trickery. And just when you thought he had retired the dribbling boots, he pulled another fast one. Finally, after 3 decades, officially admitting that MKO Abiola won the June 12, 1993 election. To which Nigerians are responding, and how does that help us now? It's not like as if we didn't know. The previous dispensation actually told us this. Now, call me cynical, but this grand confession just happens to coincide with the launch of his book, which, by the way, reportedly raked in 17.5 billion naira from external sources. I mean, they say that it's for a presidential library, but who was that other guy that released the book only a few months ago, while Babangida's book got him 17.5 billion naira? Dele Farotimi's book got him detention. Doesn't weigh equally, does it? But the sweet smell of publicity for Babangida. Nigerians aren't just questioning why he's telling us this now, but also who benefits from this revelation. And let's be honest, if history has taught us anything, is that the only person who benefits from an IBB move is IBB himself. But hey, maybe this book does have some real gems. Maybe it answers the age-old question of how do you annul an election, keep the country in suspense for 3 decades, and still get a grand book launch out of it and milk all that money. Congratulations, IBB. You are, after all, Maradona. And finally, as if the Senate needed another reason to trend, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, found himself once again at odds with Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. Now, if you recall, this isn't the first time. It's not their first rodeo. These two, they've had more dramatic clashes than a Z-World marathon. This week, Akpabio accused her of disrespecting Senate rules, sparking yet another heated exchange between the two of them. And honestly, at this point, these two might as well just host their own reality show, I guess. Maybe somebody should be thinking about that one, call it something like, I don't know. Because the most consistent thing coming out of the two of them lately is the back and forth. While they entertain themselves with parliamentary squabbles, the rest of us are asking, please, can you just give us just a bit of governance in your spare time? In any case, ladies and gentlemen, let's use this opportunity to welcome my able co-host, Judith Atibi, and ask her a question. You can answer either of the two. How would you have answered or responded in Natasha's case? Or do you think that Babangida's book comes with a refund because it's like as if I already know how you annul an election? What do you think, Judith?
Where do I even start with? For the general Babangida and his book, first of all, it's quite expensive. A paperback is 30,000 naira.
No.
A hardback is 40,000 naira. And of course, telling his own side of the stories, I don't know the adjective to describe it, but I don't know who's buying it because we already know the story in Babangida's book is most likely the story of Nigeria's democracy. You know what I mean?
Democracy failed.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's our history, right? Except you want to tell it from your own account. But the persons who experience it, whether as a child or as an adult, they're there. So maybe just to read it for fact-checking and see his mindset and inside our views. But other than that, you know. And for Natasha and Akpabio, it's very interesting how, you know, he was so bold to do what he did on the floor, and the way he enacted, you know, this. It's I really don't want to get into it.
You think there's a certain lack of culture on his part?
Oh, he's a South man, so we know one of those. We meet them every single day in our lives. It reminds me of one of my uncles.
She said it, not me.
I'm from South. What is it?
In any case, Judith, when I get back there, we'll talk more about this. But it was International Mother Tongue Day, and I tried. I was brought up in Lagos. I'm Isoko, but Isoko me yehe. So eva do wai but me wolo tomomoto. So besides Isoko or any other language, I'm asking you if you can speak any other language.
Oh, right. I cannot speak English language, but I can hear.
This is your mother tongue.
I can look, and it's so hard because
try something, anything. What is it anyway? Where are you from?
Because, you know, exactly, right? So I'm from Cross River State, in a state that speaks over 100 languages. Both my parents are from Cross River State, and they don't speak the same language, right?
Okay.
My father's language is Abo, Eredene, Eresansan, which means good morning, how are you? I'm fine. While my mother's language is Alanga, which is good morning. Ijingme, which is how are you doing?
Okay.
Ijingbia. Okay. And my body's fine.
So you were raised confused.
So, yeah, exactly. So there's, I'm not really confused per se, but it's just, I hear the language, but I cannot speak it.
You can't construct yours, it's difficult.
I can't speak it.
Yeah,
so if they're talking to me, they're asking me for stuff or they're requesting things, I will do it.
Yeah.
Right, but I cannot speak it. And also, we're very multicultural in my background. My stepmother is Hausa. My half-siblings are half Hausa, half, you know, Cross River. I have, you know, my mother's side, and I have my father's side, and also have my stepmother's side.
Interesting thing is, during the week, I saw the package with Joe Hansen, it had Catherine, and a couple other people. Aswalo was in there, and everybody spoke in their mother tongue, and I was very jealous, especially of Joe Hansen, because you see him speak eloquently in English. He is extra eloquent when it comes to, I don't know, is that Ibibi or Cal? I don't know.
Etinan.
Eh?
Etinan.
What is that?
It's like, it's not Ibibio, I've forgotten, but it's an offshoot of Efik, but it's Ibibio, an offshoot of Ibibio. Don't quote me on this, but I know it's from Etinan.
Okay.
Right. But the person I'm jealous of is Catherine. Catherine can speak Yoruba. She can speak Ibibio.
Yeah.
She can speak French. She's proficient in English. She is
a polyglot.
Ooh, I am jealous. I don't know how she does it.
Nah. You know what? I'm tired of standing. Let me come back there. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Breakfast Extra.
Good morning and welcome. You're watching Breakfast Extra here on News Central Television. It's your weekend news companion where we unpack the biggest stories with a mix of depth, analysis, and just the right amount of Saturday morning energy just for you. And today we've got quite the menu. So let's get started. Borno State cracks down on metal scavengers, and the government is reinforcing the ban on metal scavengers, enlisting the help of transport unions to curb infrastructure vandalism. And also we head on to Osun State, where political tensions escalate as violence erupts in the state, leaving a former council boss and 2 others dead. Also today is supposed to be their local government chairmanship elections and local council elections. We're going to, look forward to that. There's also a part also that's been going on at the Lagos State Assembly that sees DSS operatives stepping in. But why? We'll break it down with our guests that we're going to be having on the show today. It's going to be quite an insightful discussion. And also, the federal government is pressuring traders to reduce their prices to bring down food costs because of the price of flour and spaghetti seem to be coming down. We're going to talk about whether government laws or government urging the traders can indeed spur them to reduce food prices. And there's also outrage in Anambra as a local security outfit threatens to arrest women for not wearing bras or underwear. We'll examine the implications of this later on during our course of our discussion. But as always, we're going to get started with our big report, and our guest is going to be on standby all the way from Borno State.
Okay, well, interestingly, we're going to be doing the dailies in a bit, but the one about the laws, about the Anambra State and the laws about... Now, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't that infringe on your right as a woman to be expressive?
You see why I was saying that we know uncles like that? We know, yeah. I think that the old guards, and by the old guards, I mean that...
Big pot-bellied uncles.
No, the men of a certain generation.
Big pot-bellied uncles?
They are stewards of, they are the old guards, they're the stewards of patriarchy and misogyny. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
yeah, I went there. I think that's what it is.
But what about culture? Well, if you want to put misogyny, but you see, they're trying to uphold culture.
But
now, I'm not on any side.
But isn't our culture rooted in misogyny and misogynoir and patriarchy?
I beg to differ.
And they're also our religion as well is also
religious influence, perhaps maybe more than misogyny.
Why do you beg to differ in terms of our?
I think that I wouldn't look at it in terms of misogyny. I would say that they are hard and fast when it comes to preserving culture, and to them, this is what they are used to. Going into the future, it's hard for people to actually. It's hard for that generation to key into what's happening now. The expressiveness, especially from the female gender, to them is like, oh, that's a bit strange. However, to me, I just think that I'm not with it. I'm not saying that, oh, stop people from being expressive. Be expressive all you want, especially now in this age. I just think perhaps maybe they are thinking about it in terms of our culture, our values, and the kids that are coming up.
Maybe our culture, because when you think about it, our culture in and of itself is always to police women and never men. Because there are men that I would see on the streets who are sagging their clothes, and I could literally see their butt cracks, and no one is policing them.
So maybe in Anambra State,
so policing people's body is policing women's body is indeed our culture, and I'll give you that. They are stewards of policing women's bodies, but we seem to forget that our very same culture in some parts of the country, when a girl comes of age at 13, she goes into a fattening room, and the ceremony of her coming out is bare-chested all the way up. No one's talking about that. We've seen pictures, if we're going to go back to our culture, I have seen pictures again and again of both the Igbo culture, the Tiv culture, the Efe culture, the Bibio culture, of maidens that are stark naked halfway up. So what exactly is our culture? I think, and that's why I say again, it is misogyny and patriarchy. A patriarchy decides what is culture, they decide what is acceptable by culture and society, and they decide what women ought to wear. So maybe you're right. It is patriarchy in our society.
But then maybe you're right. But sorry, I think I got information. Collins, our associate producer, would like to know which culture and where's the address.
Hey, that one's just a weirdo. The guy's a weirdo.
I joke, he didn't say that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I hear we're doing the dailies now, are we? The dailies. So now let's, hang on a second. We'll take a break and then we'll come back perhaps for the dailies. Do stay tuned. Welcome once again to Breakfast Extra. Now, to our very first big report this morning. Since 2023, Borno State has enforced a strict ban on metal scavenging, a move aimed to protecting the state's infrastructure from widespread vandalism. Now, the decision was not made lightly. Over the years, scavengers operating both legally and illegally have become a major concern for authorities. While some are simply looking for scraps to make a living, others have engaged in the systemic dismantling of public and private property, ranging from street lights and road signs to telecom cables and even sections of critical buildings. The destruction has not only cost the government billions in repair, but has also posed significant security risks, as stolen materials are often repurposed for nefarious activities. And in renewed efforts to clamp down on this menace, the Borno State government is expanding its enforcement strategies by engaging Road Transport Employers Association and the National Union of Road Transport Workers. That's the NURTW. The idea is simple: ensure that transport unions monitor and report any suspicious transportation of metal scraps, especially those from government-owned infrastructure, by leveraging the reach and network of these unions. Authorities believe they can curb the illegal trade and protect the state's fragile rebuilding efforts post-insurgency. However, this measure raises critical questions. How effective can transport unions be in tackling this issue, and what legal frameworks will back their new role? Now, let's take a look at the report by News Central correspondent Umaru Kirawa, who has been closely following the situation in Borno.
For nearly 2 years now and counting, metal scavenging, a multi-million naira business, has been banned in Borno State. The ban, initially introduced to curb the illegal removal and sale of public property as scrap, has negatively impacted many informal workers.
Akwai motocin da musamman aikin su dau a Jakuta ne su kai a Jakuta Steel Company, da kuma akwai kamfanin karafuna a Ogun da kuma Lagos. To kaga dakatar da a Jakuta ya dakatar da ko kuma ya cire su a business gaba ke daya kenan.
Akwai matsalar kayan gwamnati da ake ta satowa. Tabbas inda mun san cewar akwai kayan gwamnati, mu a matsayin mu na masu bin doka da oda ba za mu iya barin ma kar a kai dakatar da wannan sana'ar. Mu da kanmu za mu iya dakatarwa.
As part of effort to lift the ban on metal scavenging, the Borno State government has engaged road transport unions on viable strategies to control the problem.
We appeal to them to avoid to maintain the executive order given by His Excellency, and which they have agreed, and they are going to constitute a committee within them to be monitoring each and every truck that will be going out of the town, so that he will not pick any scrap metals in the vehicle or the truck. So by doing so, I'm very optimistic by the time we submit the report finally and then give the law, then the governor will now bless and then assign any other committee to continue the operation of the activities.
The transport unions have expressed their willingness to collaborate with the government to create a safer and more regulated system, ensuring that infrastructure remains intact while enabling legitimate scavenging activities to resume.
Allah da ikonsa an zo an fahimci wannan abun, mun fito mun faɗa musu tun daga ran da gwamnati ta ce ba ta so bai kamata mutum ya wuce ba, amma yanzu kuma an ɗauko hanyar gyara. Mun gode Allah, mun gode ga gwamnati da ta buɗe, ta sake buɗewa.
Borno wannan jihar mu ce, in ta yi kyau jihar mu ce, in ta lalace jihar mu ce. Saboda haka duk iya kokarin da zamu yi mu ga mun tabbatar wa gwamnatin Borno nan, mu ga mun mata adalci, mu ga mun yi kokari mun dakile duk abin da ba ta so.
With a comprehensive report, the government is said to look into the possibilities of lifting the ban on metal scavenging in Borno to unlock the opportunities of the sector. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
And you're welcome back. Many thanks to Umaru Kirawa for that report. And he joins us live now to give us a bit of critical insight or perspectives on how government policies will impact the communities, and also help us dissect this latest move by the government. Kirawa, it's great to have you on Big Report here on Breakfast Extra. Many thanks for joining us.
Yes. A very good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
The ban on metal scavenging has been in effect since 2023. Why is the Borno State government intensifying enforcement now?
Yes, both natural, the metal scavenging business it's a multi-billion naira business that engage so many teeming youth, particularly taking into consideration that Borno State now is recovering from years of atrocities of insurgents and so on and so forth. And as such, creating avenues for employment opportunities for the teeming youth will be critical so as to redirect the minds and thinking of the youth and unemployed to embrace skills that will fend for themselves and, of course, support their families. It is quite unfortunate that this business was banned for more than 2 years now, and up to now, no stand was taken by the government, although they were able to constitute a committee which is engaging some of the stakeholders in the metal scavenging business. But up to now, the ban has not been lifted, and people are hoping that this ban will be reviewed so that necessary measures will be taken. We've seen the transport unions engaged so as to tackle the issue of transporting stolen both public and private metals, including government properties and so on and so forth. So by and large, it's important because of the viability and importance of this business, because it's a transborder business. People take these metals even to Chad, to Niger, and other countries within the Lake Chad, including Lagos and Ogun, as rightly alluded to by the Secretary of the NURTW. So it's a very huge business that if the government can really come up with a very effective modality of really supervising the business, it will go a long way in creating employment opportunities.
Now, Kirawa, how severe is the impact of scavenging, and what are the most affected or targeted installations?
What? Can you come again?
Yes, I was asking the impact of scavenging. How severe is it on the in Borno State? And since it is that people are no longer just going about picking up waste metal, they're also vandalizing. What installations are prone to vandalizing, being vandalized rather?
Okay, first, the impact is both negative and positive. The negative part of it is so many of the metal scavengers have paid the supreme price due to, you know, there are still remnants of IEDs, improvised explosive devices, which in the course of scavenging those metals, they accidentally meet IEDs, and sometimes it explodes with them. This is one of the impacts. And, you know, the ban has really led to the loss of jobs by so many people. Nobody can give you the figure of the people that are engaged in this multi-million naira business. And as such, it has really impacted the lives of many, impacted the lives of families, impacted the lives of transporters, the metal scavengers themselves, and so on and so forth. And as such, it's a call for urgent government intervention. Some people are even saying that the government can really institutionalize the metal scavenging business, maybe coming up with a law that will be guiding the metal scavenging business in the state, and maybe coming up with industry that it will be used. Those metal can be converted from waste to wealth, so that more people will be engaged, employment opportunities will be created, and the mayhem and the unfortunate retrogressive activities of Boko Haram and other insurgents and terrorist groups within the region will evaporate.
We're talking about, you know, insurgent activities, you know, and terrorism groups, because there have been reports that some scavengers are linked to insurgent activities. Are these claims credible?
Yeah, you know, so many things are happening within the state, and some of the things only the security personnel, because some of the areas are really not accessible per se. And these people, sometimes they are opportune to go to some locations that are even not okayed by the security personnel as such. Anything can happen. The issue of connivance can really happen, but it's unfortunate, and the government really need to strengthen ties with the associations, organizations, sanitize the system, come up with maybe the list or comprehensive list, a dashboard of those people partaking in scavenging. Let them go through because they will even pay revenue to the government. As such, it will help really in addressing some of the teething security problems, not only in Borno but across the Lake Chad region.
All right then. Omar Kira, I want to say thank you very much for bringing us this report and also joining us here on Breakfast Extra to tell more about it. We'll continue to, well, view your stories and reach out to you for more. Thank you once again.
Thank you. Stay safe. And let my sister speak her language very well, though. It's very important.
Umaru. Barana so. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you very much, Umaru Kirawa.
Speak after program.
Definitely. All right, let's go to a short break. When we get back, we're going to be going into a big story. Stay tuned.
And you're welcome back. For our very first big story for today, tensions in Osun State have escalated following the tragic assassination of an ousted APC local government chairman and two others in Irewole. Reports indicate that political thugs were responsible for the attack, highlighting the deep-seated struggle for control between the ruling PDP and the opposition APC. The crisis, which has been brewing for months, took a deadly turn as rival factions clashed over the legitimacy of newly installed officials. This incident has sent shockwaves through the state, raising concerns about the security situation and the potential for further political violence. In the wake of these killings, the government has vowed to bring the perpetrators to justice, with security forces reportedly launching investigations. Community members, however, remain on edge, fearful that reprisals and further attacks could destabilize local governance. Now, civil society groups have called for calm while urging authorities to ensure accountability. The violence in Irewole serves as a grim reminder of the broader tensions in Osun's political landscape, where local government leadership disputes have often been fraught with conflict.
Yes, indeed. Now we bring in our guests, Mike Nwori and Farouk Abbas, to help us make sense of the situation. Gentlemen, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We're going to go, I'm hoping that we have Mike Nwori, Barrister Mike Nwori, on video call with us, if we can. Yes, we do. And here in the studio, of course, we have Farouk Abbas. You're welcome, Farouk.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
My first question is going to go out to you. It's not really a question, so more like a clarification, Barrister Nwori, because when we approached you to talk about this, you indicated that it wasn't just that one killing, but that there were other killings on the PDP side of things. So before we start, if you can clarify this for us, let's hear what it was you were objecting to yesterday.
Yes. Actually, that's what I said. You see, the APC as a party and their leaders threatened a few days ago that they were going to go into the local government council areas in Osun State and take over on the ground that the Court of Appeal has restated their elected chairmen and councillors on an election conducted in 2022. The PDP and the government told them that the judgments they are parading did not reinstate anybody to office. The case was merely struck out, and that any attempt to forcibly take over the local government will be a disruption of the peace that the people of Osun State are already enjoying. But the advice of the government did not allow the advice of the government to sit down well with them, and they made good their threats. They forcibly entered the local government, and in the process, about 6 persons lost their lives. Those 6 persons are members of the PDP. And after that, the government for Osun State directed everybody to stay away from the local government. while the APC continued to invade the local government secretariat.
Let's say to the governor on legal matters, what's been the response from the government regarding these deaths?
It's a rude shock to the governor and the government that a party that calls itself a progressive political party like the APC could wake up one morning and decide to preach the peace of the people to the extent of lives being lost. The governor sympathizes with the families of these people that lost their lives and enjoin them to remain calm, that everything will be okay. You know, the governor actually called on the Inspector General of Police and indeed the president as to the situation in Osun State, and to call the former governor of Osun State, who is leading the APC into this fracas, to order. But unfortunately, the authorities at the federal level defied the call of the executive governor, and they continued to give a support to the APC and their leaders to continue perpetrating chaos and breach of law and order in Osun State. Okay. It's unfortunate.
I wanted to ask, Michael, is the local government elections ongoing at this moment? We understand there's been conflicting court orders regarding that.
There is no conflicting court orders. The Osun State High Court yesterday declared the 30 local government chairman and councillor seats vacant and ordered OSEC, Osun State Independent Electoral Commission, to go ahead and fill up those vacancies. And if you recall that about 360 days ago, that is a year ago, the OSEC published a notice of election to fill up these vacancies after the Federal High Court sitting in Osogbo in two separate judgments nullified the election of the August 2022 into the local government offices. Michael. And since that time, the offices have remained vacant. And you remember that the Section 28 of the Electoral Act stipulates that for an election into the local government to be held, a notice of at least not less than 360 days must have been given before the date of the election. And that is what the OSEC complied with as at 360 days ago, and notified the general public of this election that is holding today. So there's no conflicting judgment.
Right. But with the Attorney General stating that the elections should hold until the crisis de-escalate and then, you know, there's some sort of normalcy restored to the state, what do you make to that statement or that recommendation by the Attorney General of the Federation?
Now, you see, the Attorney General of the Federation is partisan in this case, with due respect to him. He is not being fair and sincere in his advice. Remember that when the threat was made by the APC, a call was made to the office of the Attorney General of the Federation, a call was made to the office of the NSA, a call was made to the office of the Inspector General of Police, and indeed the office of the President to call this APC and their leaders to order. They failed to do that until they guarded, it was the police that guarded the APC to take over the local government and escalated tension. Now the AGF came out to say the election should be shelved because of fracas, which they deliberately caused. And I want you to understand also that the AGF himself is a personal lawyer to Boyega Oyetola, the former governor of Osun State. So you can see that there is a bias in their advice, and that advice is anti-masses. The local government areas in Osun State for more than a year now has been without heads of local government like the chairman and councillors. Mm-hmm. They have been governed by the HLAs who cannot take political decisions to bring development to the grassroots.
All right.
And the court, as of yesterday, has made an order, given an order that the OSEC should go ahead and fill up those vacancies.
All right then.
So,
all right then,
yes,
Mr. Moria. Now, I'm going to come to the studio here where we have legal practitioner Farouk Abbas joining us. Farouk, you're welcome. Thank you very much. Sorry, we needed to get the entire story from Mr. Moria. And now that we have, it's a very complicated one, and it has principles in places that will make you question the legality of everything that's happening. A couple of the principles are lawyers themselves. My question now is, what recourse there lies in legally when it comes to local government councillorship leadership tussles like these?
Thank you very much for the question. It's a very good question. But before I respond to your question, I just want to respond to a remark made by my learned friend. He said the AGF is a lawyer to Governor Oyetola, and based on that is a biased party. But the person speaking is an appointee of the state government, drawing a salary from the state government. So I wonder if he himself is not biased, going by the logic that he puts forward. But that's by the side. To now answer your question on the local government issues, you know, we have the Osun State electoral law, Independent Electoral Commission law, which governs local government election. But the Constitution and the Electoral Act says that when you want to conduct local government election, the state law must be in tandem with the federal law. So what that essentially means is that where the state law goes against the federal law, then that election will be nullified. We had an election in October 2022 where APC chairmanship candidates were elected into office. They were sworn into office. After they were sworn into office, the PDP went to court before the election to challenge the notice of election, because they gave a notice of election. I think it was for about maybe 60 days or thereabouts. They challenged it. Then the APM also went to court. Another political party went to court. Interestingly, they were represented by the same lawyer.
Which court now?
Federal High Court in Osun State. They were represented by the same lawyers. And ordinarily, one would have expected that since the issues in the case were the same thing, because it's just one election conducted by it should have been consolidated. But for reasons best known to the lawyers who represented the parties in the case, they didn't apply for a consolidation of the case. When the Federal High Court delivered judgment in the PDP case, it nullified the election on the 25th of November. About 5 days later, the Federal High Court delivered judgment in the second case, also nullifying the election. And what the Electoral Act provides is that if an election of a candidate of a person who won the election is nullified by either the tribunal or the court, the person will remain in office, provided that he appeals within the time allowed to appeal under the law. When the judgment was delivered against the APC candidate, they appealed. But notwithstanding their appeal, the governor, through his executive order, removed them from office. And as law-abiding citizens, as a party that believes in the rule of law, they complied with the order of the court. At the time, the federal government was controlled by APC, but they didn't create any chaos, they didn't create any violence, and they went on appeal. When they went on appeal, in the other case, another party, I think the APP, also went on appeal in the second case. So whilst they were on appeal in the second case, the counsel to the APP told the court that he didn't hear from his client and he won't be proceeding anymore. And one of the other parties filed a motion to dismiss that appeal for lack of diligent prosecution. Lack of diligent prosecution simply means that a party who has appealed against the judgment of a lower court is no longer interested in pursuing the appeal. And when you don't prosecute your appeal diligently, the Court of Appeal will dismiss your appeal. So in that other appeal for the APP, the Court of Appeal dismissed it, and rightfully so. So when the Court of Appeal dismissed the appeal, what it effectively meant was that the Federal High Court judgment, which had nullified the local government election, becomes extant, becomes valid. And that was the position. Then on 10th of February, the APC appeal was heard. When the Court of Appeal held the APC appeal, the Court of Appeal held that the judgment of the lower court was wrong for some technical reasons, because they amended their process and they shouldn't have been allowed to amend their process because they should have refiled the suit. And the court said that it was striking out the order of the Federal High Court. And the effect of that is that when you strike out the order of the Federal High Court, what you're essentially saying is that the judgment they're removing them from office no longer stands, because that was the first judgment that removed them from office. You can't remove somebody from office twice. The moment the PDP judgment was delivered at the Federal High Court, the APC people left office. They didn't fight, they didn't create chaos, they didn't cause any violence. So the moment Court of Appeal delivered his judgment, what it effectively meant was that the APC local government chairman have been allowed to go back into office. And they didn't just go back into office immediately the judgment was given. There's an administrative procedure towards enforcing the judgment of the Court of Appeal. The APC, as a democratic party and progressive party, went through that hurdle. They submitted the judgment to all the security apparatus. And if you submit a judgment to the security apparatus, they won't just follow you blindly to go and enforce the judgment. They will review the judgment with their legal department, get advice from the necessary quarters, and give their approval. And when they gave their approval, they approached the governor on Sunday to say that we have gotten this signal, we have seen this judgment, APC is in the right, and we want to enforce this judgment. They are going to be enforcing the judgment on Monday. And that was why they started doing all sort of circles and press state conferences and all that. And when they were going to the local government secretariat, they had the valid reason to go there. They had the benefit of the law to go there. And they were protected by security enforcement. They didn't go there forcefully. They didn't go there to break down anything. It was on their way going there that the PDP thugs came to attack them. And we all know the law. If anybody attacks you, you have a right of self-defense. They attacked them and they brutally murdered Mr. Remi Abbas, a former local government chairman in Rio local government.
It's a very heavy allegations you're making. You know that, right? You're saying that PDP attacked
thugs. You know,
PDP thugs attacked. Do you have proof to this?
Yes, it was widely reported in the papers. It was widely reported in the papers. Because, you know, in law, there's something we call circumstantial evidence. There are two parties involved in the case. APC cannot attack themselves. He said it when he was talking. He said APC attacked them and 6 of their members were killed. He didn't say it was PDP. He said APC. So it's widely reported in the papers. We were going to the secretariat. Even in my local government, I come from Osun State. In my local government, one of my leaders, Honorable Bade Falade, our rival leader, his hotel was damaged. It was attacked. They were shot. I have people who were macheted. And we sent something to them.
Were the assailants identified?
Yes, they were
identified specifically.
Yes, they told me. Yes, they mentioned the names of some of the people that I know, and they are members of PDP.
They're members of.
Yes.
According to you.
Card-carrying members of PDP.
Card-carrying members of PDP.
Now, so what is the way forward for this, in terms of resolution? Because when we talk to other critics, you know, this has been long coming the entirety of this week. They're saying the solution is the elections, the polls, everyone going to the polls to vote.
That's the second angle of your asked question, so I will respond to that. He mentioned a judgment yesterday. You know, the PDP, they've been inconsistent, they've been appropriating and reprobating. When the Court of Appeal judgment was initially given in the favor of APC, what they were saying was that the judgment didn't reinstate the APC chairman and they didn't give a consequential relief. That was what they were saying. When they got advice that that's not correct, then they went back to the APP judgment of the Federal High Court. When they now realize again now that they don't have a legal standing to go ahead with the election, they went to a black market to go and get a judgment yesterday. Yes, I can say that boldly. And I'll tell you why I said that. I'll tell you why I said that boldly. I'll tell you why I said that.
Say it.
Yes, I saw the ruling, the judgment which they circulated on social media. The lawsuit was filed on the 18th of February at the Osun State High Court in Ilesha. Normally, under the rules of court, when you file a lawsuit, you have 5 days to serve. When you serve, the other party is supposed to respond. And before you go to court, what the Constitution says that there must be a valid dispute. You now file the lawsuit against OSEC chairman and OSEC. OSEC chairman is a former member of PDP. He's a member of PDP. He was contested for House of Assembly as a card-carrying member of the party. Do you understand? He filed the lawsuit against the OSEC chairman, and the OSEC chairman and OSEC responded in the lawsuit that we don't have any opposition to what PDP has filed against us. And within 3 days, record time, the court delivered a judgment with a motion on notice. The law is clear. When you want to commence a lawsuit, you either use originating summons, writ of summons, a petition, or an originating motion. If you are saying that the local government chairman of APC, their tenure has expired, you didn't join them as a party. If you are saying that you want the police to provide you with security, you didn't join the police as a party to the suit. So when I say that the judgment was contrived and it was gotten through an illegal means, because I can say that, within 3 days.
What's this black market you spoke of? This black market
so which is the courts, going to the courts to get an order so that the polls can happen. So you're saying that the polls is not the solution. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm saying the polls
is not the solution. And you're saying that having the order to do the polls today is fraudulent because they went to the black market and beyond that is unlawful.
Yes.
As I say, you have the right of reply.
Yes, thank you so much. My learned friends there in the studio, I want to advise him to also strive to protect the institution. If he's a lawyer, let him protect the institution and the profession he belongs. It is disparaging of the judiciary and the court for you to come online and say that a valid court judgment is a black market judgment. If it's not well with you, you can appeal against that order. It is your right. Now, going by what you said, I want you to understand from the beginning that there were two cases filed at the Federal High Court. 2 of them had different parties. And those different parties were interested parties in the election that APC held in October 2022. So they had a right to institute their case. And it was in the wisdom of the courts not to have consolidated the cases because one was filed before the notice for election, and you are challenging it that does not disclose any cause of action. The second one was filed after the notice for election was issued. So, and there are different parties in each of those 2 suits. And those 2 suits progressed to judgment. Separate suits with separate suit numbers. two of those judgments, both of them nullified the election, set aside the notice for election, and sacked the chairman. Then the APC appealed both to the Court of Appeal. Now, while the appeals were pending, it was found that the appeal in APP was abandoned by APC. Even the day the case was dismissed, the counsel to APC came to court and told the court, the counsel to the APC, not APP, was in court and informed the court that he had not seen his client, that is APC, since 2022, giving the other parties the opportunity to apply for the dismissal of the case, which the court did. The same people that he had not seen for since 2022 was also in court for the appeal of PDP, where they know that they had the lacuna, they had opportunity of arguing a case, because according to them, it disclosed no cause of action, as at the time they appealed, the case was filed. Granted that the PDP filed a case earlier than it's necessary. And we also welcome the judgment. Those are two judgments from Federal High Court. Both of them are subsisting. But Federal High Court has struck out one of the cases on the ground, preliminarily, on the ground I disclosed no cause of action. That case, that judgment of the Court of Appeal did not go into the merit of the case. It was a preliminary issue. The two other issues that would have dealt with the merit of the case, the court said it had become academic exercise, because having struck out the suit at the Federal High Court level, and that's why the Court of Appeal quoted the suit number of the case at the Federal High Court and struck it out. Everything, all the reliefs in that particular suit was struck out with the case. So it now means that the judgment left subsisting and valid is the judgment in APP. That case, you people, the APC appealed and was dismissed. So that judgment is still pending. And that judgment nullified the notice for election, the election itself, and sacked all the chairmen and the councils of the purported election. Tell me how you wanted to return to office when you have not set aside that judgment. Now, I want you to also understand again that this election that is going on today, it's a constitutional requirement of the OSEC as an independent body of the government to go ahead and fill up all the vacancies created by the judgment of APC. And I see no reason why anybody, if the APC is not interested in participating in the election, they should just stay away and watch those that are participating. 18 political parties are participating in the election of today. And as we speak now, the election is going on smoothly. And winners will emerge, and they will be sworn into office.
Thank you.
So
thank you, Mr.
That is my take on that.
Mr. Abbas, let's talk about the elections that are happening today. The APC is absent. What's your take on that?
My take on that is that it is lawful for the APC to be absent in that election, because as far as the APC is concerned, their chairman who won the election in 2022 are still in office. Their tenure will expire in October this year. And as far as the law is concerned, the Court of Appeal has given a decision, and I've said that the effect of that decision is that the APC chairman should go back to office. If the PDP is dissatisfied with that, what they ought to do is to appeal against that decision or go back to the Court of Appeal for clarification.
These are the same vacuums that that this election is actually trying to fill, isn't it?
You can't fill a vacuum when a vacuum does. You can only fill a vacuum when a vacuum exists. Yes, there's no vacuum. And what the law says is that logically, even without being a lawyer, logically speaking, some people are saying that their tenure has not expired. Without having a final resolution of that dispute, you are going ahead to conduct another election. You are creating chaos. You are creating confusion. You don't need to be a lawyer.
Let's talk about that chaos. So
yes.
After the elections and then there are new officers that ought to fill these positions, what is going to happen then when there are no seats for them because these members feel that they have not or they have been reinstated?
No, you know what the law says is that even if your election has been nullified by the court, you should remain in office until you finish the appeal. So if they remain in office now, it's not wrong because that's what the Electoral Act says. So if the when we finish the appeal and the Electoral Act, the court says that, okay, the election is nullified and they are not in office, they leave the office immediately. And you now have another election. As we speak, between the time the appeal was done and now, we don't have elected chairman in the office and everything is going on fine. So there's no vacuum as far as I'm concerned. And I don't think that APC, you can't participate in an election when you are saying there's no vacuum existing.
The SSA to the governor on legal matters just said here that OSEC, which is the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission, is doing their responsibility with their rightful job, which is conducting the elections. They are mandated to do this. Are you saying that because of that appeal, which was now ruled in favor of the ousted APC chairman, that the polls should not hold?
Certainly, that's what I'm saying.
But what then happens to their mandate? If their mandate is to hold polls, what happens to them?
No, see, their mandate is to hold polls, but you only hold polls when there is a vacuum. The election in 2022 was also conducted by OSEC, and I must tell you, in the APC judgment at the Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal came down heavily on OSEC and the OSEC Council, accusing them of appropriating and reprobating. That at the Federal High Court, you were defending this election. When you came to Court of Appeal, you are now going against the election. That this is not honorable for a legal practitioner and for an institution that is supposed to be independent. So OSEC has been going against their mandate. If OSEC feels that they want to carry out their mandate, the Court of Appeal has said APC should go back to office. You, OSEC, you believe there is a vacuum. Then go and find a final resolution to this, because don't waste government money. You don't have to be a lawyer. I'm saying that I own something. You are saying that I don't own it, and you want to go and do something else. You should wait for us to finish this one logically. We have done all we need to do.
So you're not saying that OSEC in and of itself, they are partisan, because if they're not partisan, they should uphold the appeal?
OSEC is not only partisan, it's an extension of the People's Democratic Party. And I can say that boldly, because I know the chairman. I can say it boldly, I can be quoted. And the Court of Appeal also said the same thing, that they are not acting like an independent institution. There's an excerpt in the judgment where the Court of Appeal came down heavily on them. If as a lawyer to OSEC and the OSEC chairman, you will have been embarrassed, and you can even resign.
You're saying the chairman is partisan?
He's extremely right. He was a candidate for the PDP in 2019 for House of Assembly. Before the 4 years election, before then, he contested. Even in 2023 election,
Mr. Bass,
he ran under the PDP platform.
We'll take that as your final statement. I would like to give Mr. Warrior his opportunity to give us his final take on this. And please, if you can summarize.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I want to correct the impression being created by my learned friend right there, that there is no vacancy existing at the local government areas. I want you to understand that the appeal, as far as we are concerned, has been concluded. The appeal on the PDP case was struck out. The case was struck out. It means there was no case by the PDP against APC in the first place. That is the legal implication of the striking out of the case in the PDP case. Then that of the APP is still subsisting. It was dismissed at the Court of Appeal. So it means if APC is not appealing that dismissal to the Supreme Court, it means that they are not interested in appealing it, and the vacancy created by that judgment is what OSEC is out there to fill up today. So I want him to advise his people to stay away from trouble and allow Osun State to enjoy a peaceful atmosphere. Since this government came in, there have been peace all over the place. The government has been developing the state in a way that rattled the APC, and that's why they are coming back through the back door instead of trying to do the right thing. If they think that they have a valid judgment, why don't they submit themselves to the process of enforcing a judgment through the courts? The sheriff of the court is the police of the court. If they submit the judgment to them and there is an enforceable judgment, they exactly do the right thing. If he's a practicing lawyer sitting there, he knows how to enforce judgment, and not through self-help, not marching through to the local government secretariat, because the president is an uncle to the former governor who controls the police and the military, and they can get the backing of the security agencies at their whims and caprices to cajole and scare away the people, the law of the state.
All right, Mr. Warrior, I did ask that it be a summary, but thank you very much. You have actually given plenty.
Thank you.
There.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you to you, and of course, Mr. Bass here in the studio with us. And we'll continue to see how this progresses, especially after the elections today. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do stay tuned, because coming up, we're going to be giving the news in just a bit. And welcome. It's time for the headlines here inside of Breakfast Extra. My name is Mazino Appeal. Now, the Osun State High Court in Ilesha has ordered the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission, OSIEC, to conduct elections for the vacant positions of local government chairmen and councillors in all the 30 local government areas and the area office in Osun State. The order was given on Friday, sequel to a suit brought before the court by the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, on one of the parties participating in the elections. Justice Adeyinka Aderibigbe, who gave the order, also asked security agencies to provide security and peace before, during, and after the election. Residents of the state have expressed worries that the state has become very unsecure as a result of violent disagreements between members of the political parties few days ago. As Nigeria prepares for the 2027 general elections, civil society organizations are advocating a shift to a single-day voting system. Currently, elections are held over multiple days, but stakeholders believe consolidating them into one day could improve efficiency and reduce cost. This was discussed in a policy dialogue organized by the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development in Abuja. The majority of speakers at the dialogue agreed to the new policy. Dr. Iroro Izu, a political scientist at Nile University in Abuja, emphasized that major democracies like the United States, India, and Brazil conduct their elections in a single day. He pointed out that holding elections on different days costs the Independent National Electoral Commission a lot of money, causing financial losses for people and keeps political tension high for a longer time. And also, the federal government has announced plans to discontinue its visa on arrival policy, describing it as unsustainable and a potential security risk. The Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, disclosed this on Friday at the graduation ceremony of 100 officers of the Nigerian Immigration Service who underwent a 5-day specialized training on the application of advanced passenger information, passenger name record data in national security and law enforcement. The event took place at the service headquarters in Abuja. According to the minister, the advanced passenger information system will be deployed at land borders. New regulations will now require pre-arrival clearance from Interpol, criminal record databases, and other background check agencies in real time. The reforms set to commence between 1st March and 1st April 2025 aims to enhance national security, protect Nigerians, and align with international security obligations. And the police in Anambra State on Friday said they had scored a major breakthrough in their hunt for 2 new suspects involved in the abduction and killing of the state lawmaker Justice Azuka. Commissioner of Police CP Ikioye Orutugu made the announcement on Friday. News Central's special correspondent on investigative journalism, Marshal Anthony Ononye, who was present at the police briefed journalists, said that 2 suspects out of 9 initially arrested following a joint operation and 1 other individual were still on the run. The police also say they are not complicit in the escape of the fleeing suspects, adding that the officers on whose watch the suspects escaped were still being questioned.
2 suspects, Ikemefuna Osai from Delta State and Chinedu Okoli from Imo State, out of 11 suspects confessed and already arraigned, were taken out for investigation activity. Chinedu and Ikemefuna are not the principal suspects. The 2 suspects now missing are not, for purpose of emphasis, they are not the principal suspects. They are drivers that drove vehicles for the suspects. That is not to say they have a right to escape. They are suspects, they partook in the crime. So we have a responsibility to go after them and produce them. But for anyone to say that the principal suspects have escaped or police have carelessly released them, it's not true. The truth is that the principal suspects on this matter are still there, intact with the police.
We now move to the civic space, where members of the Take It Back movement, in collaboration with Amnesty International, have condemned the abuse of cybercrime acts by security agencies and attacks by authorities on freedom of information. The group described the attacks on young Nigerians who freely expressed their opinion as a violation of human rights, while making demands for a repeal of the Cybercrimes Act. News Central's Omolola Ololade tells us more in this report.
The attacks on journalists, activists, opposition voices and young people in Nigeria, especially by security agencies leveraging the country's cybercrime legislation, is becoming increasingly worrisome. Against this backdrop, the Take It Back movement, in collaboration with Amnesty International, condemns the misuse of Cybercrime Act while making demands for the immediate and unconditional repeal of the Cybercrime Act.
It is a tool employed to silence opposition voices, journalists, as well as young people who have been freely expressing themselves on Twitter and TikTok, as well as various other social media platforms. We demand an immediate end to the persecution of activists, journalists, and citizens under the guise of this notorious Cybercrime Act.
Must we always pass through the police stations in Nigeria when people are angry or when people feel that their egos have been bruised? That is what we are trying to say today, that no matter how they push us, we will not stop.
Leaders of the movement, however, urge people in power and position of authority to refrain from using the Cybercrime Act and silencing the voice of Nigerians who freely express their opinions on social media, considering that the country is a democratic nation.
All we're saying is we do not accept this current Cybercrime Act. It's against the fundamental rights of Nigerians to speak and express themselves. We're saying, no, it's unacceptable. We're not going to have it in our generation.
We are declaring a campaign that the Cybercrime Act should be repealed, whether as a hashtag, as a physical conviction, or as actions that we are going to be taken on the streets.
While people should be held accountable for their actions, many believe the law should not be misused such that matters of expression are made to carry criminal consequences. In Lagos for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
And that's all for the headlines here for Breakfast Extra. Do stay tuned. We've got more conversation inside this hour.
And you're welcome back. And we continue with our second big story for today. The crisis rocking the Lagos State House of Assembly has reached a new peak as operatives of the Department of State Services, DSS, stormed the Assembly complex amid rising tensions over the leadership dispute. The presence of security operatives sparked outrage, with lawmakers and staff questioning the motive behind the intervention. The situation intensified as Speaker Miranda presided over plenary over heavy security, raising further concerns about internal interference in legislative affairs. Now, while the DSS has defended its action as necessary to maintain order, lawmakers loyal to former Speaker Mudashiru Obasa have alleged foul play, accusing the agency of overreach. The unfolding drama has sparked debates over the extent of executive influence in legislative matters and whether the DSS acted within its constitutional boundaries. As the tensions linger, one key question remains unanswered. Who authorized the DSS deployment, and what does this mean for the future of governance in Lagos State?
Now, to break down these developments, we were going to have Kunle Uthman here with us, SDP governorship candidate for Lagos. But here in the studio, definitely we have Mr. Niniola Adegoke. He's a special advisor on youth affairs and special duties to Mudashiru Obasa. You're welcome, Mr. Niniola. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Grand. First of all, let's talk about the DSS presence at the House. Was it warranted? Why were they there? Who asked them to be there? Your take, please.
All right, thanks for having me again.
Thanks for being here.
The DSS has been there twice now. Don't forget what happened January 13th. That was the first time DSS intervened. So you cannot just cut it short and start from the middle. You have to start from the grassroots. The first thing we need to ask ourselves is that January 13, who exactly invited DSS and police? Who requested for the police cover? Then who exactly ordered the removal of the traditional police officers and the private security on January 13? Why is the DSS in the premises while the discussion is going on at the parliament? These are the questions we need to look into first. We need to diagnose the situation, and then when we resolve that, then we can now move to the next stage. Now, let me put it in this way. Can we exonerate Mr. Governor from this crisis? From the intervention of the DSS on January 13th, can we truly exonerate Mr. Governor? The answer is no. As the chief security officers of the state, that's the number one man as far as the security matter is involved. Because that very day I was arrested. I was not only arrested, I was targeted my name already with the security. They took me to different police stations before I was eventually released the following midnight. And if you look at the kind of anti-riot police that were there on that very day, you know that they mean more than just to remove Mr. Speaker. But to God be the glory, through the wisdom, we were able to calm the situation down. And we said, okay, no problem. But all what we know is that the right thing were not done on that very day. Now, concerning the DSS...
Before you go any further, you say that it must have been because the reason why they were there was to remove Mr. Speaker. Is that
that was what they... Yeah, that was their agenda, but they failed.
They also stopped the speaker from going into her office, the new speaker from going into her office as well. Do you remember this?
That was the second stage.
Okay.
You know, it's a sequential event.
Yes. So you're still talking about the first stage?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead then.
On that January 13th, fine. The House went on recess December, and the official date for them to resume is February 18th. But before February 18th, according to the standing rule of the chamber, if there is anything emergency, they can recall them, you understand, to address the situation. Through office of the Mr. Speaker plus Mr. Clark, do you understand? But these two gentlemen, they were on an official trip at the United States. So if they bypass those two men, then it means something is wrong. Do you understand? Fine. They were able to carry out their coup, but unfortunately they failed because the symbol of authority that you and I know that it needs to be there, that is maize. The one they used was not the original one. And none of them, ever since we have been talking about that, none of them has ever come out to issue any rejoinder concerning that. So in the court of public opinion, I can boldly tell you that my statement is valid.
Okay, so you're alleging that the governor has a hand in the removal. Is that what you're saying?
Well, as regards the issue of security, I'm alleging Mr. Governor that Mr. Governor knows about the invasion of the security officers at the DSS on January 13th.
Let me rephrase Mazino's question.
All right.
The claims that there has been squabbles or squalls between the governor and Mudashiru Obasa, is it true that their relationship is not as smooth?
It's only the third party interpreting it as squabble or issue or crisis. It's normal. In politics, it's all about interest.
It's all about interest. So you don't think that their interests align?
It's not necessarily that their interests must align. And even that is one of the joy of democracy.
But if he's the Speaker of the House, and then there's now the governor, in some sense, their interests must align for the good and governance of the people of Lagos State.
Yeah.
And for one person to do his job as smoothly as possible, the other must have the same interest.
Yes.
So I have to ask again. The claims that there is not a smooth relationship between the Speaker and the governor, is this true?
It's not totally true.
So why then do you think that he should not be exonerated? He might not know what happened with the DSS. He might have been sitting at his office and
he's not living up to his expectation. If Mr. Governor truly said that, okay, he doesn't know about the intervention of the DSS and is a police officer on that very day, then that is an impeachment offense. That is an impeachment offense. Because the number one duty of the government is to protect life and property.
Okay.
Do you understand me now? And you know, the major act of government is that institution.
Okay.
And if Mr. Governor, as the Chief Security Officer of the state, cannot protect that institution, then they can call for his impeachment.
Mr. Adegoke, let's talk about the second coming,
okay,
in quote, of the DSS.
Okay.
The second coming wasn't targeted at Mojisiro Obasa. It was targeted, many say, at Miranda, the new speaker, Mojisola Miranda. Her office was blocked. She was denied entry until after her supporters actually came around, rallied around her, and the DSS finally left, and then she was able to gain entry. What would you say to that then?
Well, let me put it in this way. Mr. Speaker has no input in all what transpired on that very day.
On the second coming?
Yes, he has no input in it. Secondly, as a peace person, he was not even on ground. And you and I knew that ever since the incident happened, Obasa has not really been showing interest in the legislative matter because he's trying to upturn the deed that took place on January 13th through legal means, because this matter is already in court. Thirdly, sir, Miranda is not a legitimate speaker. Before law, she's not. Do you understand?
Can you expatiate on that?
Yeah,
please?
let me quickly tell you that. I told you one before. I said the original means was not available on that very day. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, Right Honorable Mudashiru Ajayi Obasa, his fundamental right was totally abused. If I allege you of anything, I must give you an opportunity to defend yourself. This is common. I don't need to go to law school before I know that, okay, if I said, okay, you committed a social offense, then I must give you the opportunity to come forward and defend yourself. Then if my explanation is not okay enough, on the floor of the House, they can decide it's fate, and he's going to accept it. On several occasions, even before today, let me give you background of what transpired. Before that very day, there was a time, I guess 2 or 3 years ago, he told them that if I committed any sin that you guys consider to be unforgivable, instead of saying probably you want to impeach me, approach me, let me defend myself. If my explanation is not genuine enough, let me step down and come back as the member of the House, as a floor member. This is not a big deal. Because any day you step in, you must surely know that it's always going to be a terminal date for you to leave. And he's always preparing himself for that. The genesis is not January 13th. They tried to do that since last Parliament. That was why that 19th, I guess, is it 19 or 20 members of the House were unable to return to that Parliament. They identified the strong men in the House that are supporting Right Honorable Mudashiru Ajayi Obasa, and they denied them party ticket to return. They have been planning this long time. But who are those people? So we will discuss about that later.
Before we ask our next question, I need to put it out here that to our viewers that we did extend an invitation to the other party, and that is the Speaker, Miranda, for her party to come in for this invitation, but they declined at last minute to come in to discuss, to have a more roundtable discussion. So just to inform our viewers that we did our due diligence, and if there's one thing for certain, everyone has an invitation to this table, and we make sure to not side or take sides. Now, away from that, you said that Mudashiru Obasa was not aware of the moves that was being made behind his back, and you were saying that his impeachment or his removal as Speaker was illegal,
yes,
and it was without his own notice.
Yes.
So it begs this question about his leadership then.
Okay.
If you're saying that he was not aware and this was a hostile takeover, and in all of this the governor is culpable, then can we speak on his leadership?
Well, on his leadership style, there is, among all the types of leadership style we have in the world, none of them is perfect. None of them, absolutely none. I want you to take that. Secondly, even with your team, if you're the team leader, you can't tell me that you will surely know everything that is going on behind you. That is human being for you. Most especially when something is attached to it. I mean when material things is being attached to it. You know, we have some kind of leaders. We can simply call them transactional leaders, that before they do something, they ask for something. And once they are able to get that thing, what they will do is that they will execute whatever you ask them to do. Do you understand me? That is what some politicians decide to call themselves. They are transactional leaders. Now, as regard his leadership style, to the best of my knowledge, believe me, is doing fantastically well. Because for somebody to be approximately 10 years as a speaker, believe me, is not a joke. And most especially a state like Lagos State that we can regard as a mini country is not an easy job. In addition to that, this is a state with largest economy, the biggest economy so far in Africa.
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria, but let's say at state level, Lagos State is far, far ahead of others within Africa. But let me be honest with you, this cannot happen without strong intervention of the leadership at the state level.
Again, we're doing this thing, and when I ask you, you tell me there's nothing.
Yes, I never said there is nothing. I said the third party interpreted it beyond what is exactly going on. In politics, not all the time that our interests will align. At some point, we are going to have different interests. But the most important is to look for the point of equilibrium. We will look for a way to rearrange interests and bring them together.
Can the equilibrium be federal might?
No, not at all.
Would the federal might interfere?
Interfere at what level?
Is the federal might interfering?
At what level?
You know what I'm asking?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
All right. Now, we already know who is the godfather of Lagos State. And when it comes to politics in and of itself, everybody, whether it's on your mandate, you shall stand. That is a song that you have chanted at both Lagos State level assembly and at the state level. I have chanted it on your mandate.
I stand on your own mandate as well, if you decide to join politics.
On the mandate of renewed hope.
Yes.
And on the mandate of renewed hope.
Yes.
Because we saw the letter of the House to the president.
Stating what?
We've had reports that Mudashiru Obasa was seeking to go see President Tinubu. And we know his interest in Lagos State, which is his home state. And so I ask, will the equilibrium be federal might? And by federal might, I mean the president.
If you find yourself as the president of this country, will you allow your state to be in crisis politically?
And so that's why I'm asking, will the solution be equilibrium? No, that's what I'm asking. If that's what I'm asking. I mean, I'm not a politician. You know, I'm just a journalist.
Join us tomorrow.
I can't.
Yeah, well, we ask the questions here.
I have another question. Okay, let me quickly react to what she said. So, yes, this is the political base of Mr. President. And wisdom demands that you must not allow any part of the region to be on crisis. Because you don't know, you only know the beginning of a crisis. You don't even know the end of it. Do you understand me now? Coupled with the fact that Lagos is the commercial hub for this country, we cannot afford to put Lagos State in the hands of the mediocre. Do you understand me now?
Is Miranda the mediocre?
Mediocre, she's still under training. That was the main reason. She has, you know, they are preparing her for a state bigger than whatever she might occupy presently. She's the deputy speaker as far as I'm concerned, and nobody can deny that. Even his own our own camp cannot deny that.
All right, but Mr. Adegoke, I want to go back to the leadership style of Mr. Obasa and the allegations that were leveled against him that caused his impeachment. Now, it was noted that he had a penchant for perpetual lateness, to legislative sections and meetings, high-handedness, inciting members against each other, and some sins over which Obasa was impeached here. And also mentioned that Obasa practices an authoritarian and undemocratic leadership style in discharging his duties. How true are these allegations?
Okay, let me start from this. We have different types of leaders. We have the Democrats, we have authoritarian, we have laissez-faire leader, And one other, Obasa is a Democrat. And let me quickly explain this more. You see, let's use this station, for instance. You are the CEO of this company. In some aspects, if you are not tough, the staff of this company will not take their job serious. And if care is not taken, you will be at the receiving end at the end of the journey, because you know what you have committed into the company in terms of resources, mental thinking, and some other things. So as a matter of fact, you will not want anybody to ruin your business. Presently, Lagos State House of Assembly is Mudashiru Ajayi Obasa's business. And the reason is this, is the leader, the most experienced member of that house. You will not want anybody to rubbish your government. You want to seek, everybody to seek tight and do what is necessary of them to do it. We have some members, let me give you an example.
Real quick, because we're out of time.
When business is going on at the parliament, some of them take selfie. Some of them taking pictures when serious business is ongoing. They said they are alleging for incitement against each other. There is one person that wrote something a day or 2 days ago called Honorable Jude something, an Igbo man, former member of the Lagos State House of Assembly. He was in the parliament last one, but he was unable to return. I think he's representing Oshodi Isolo. Yeah, Oshodi Isolo. But this man, if you know what he did, the 2 official cars they gave him, he sold it before even the parliament completed. But he was unable to get his gratuity because Mr. Speaker asked him, produce the second car according to the law. Even if there is a way they do it, that if you want to get it back, they have a way, or the kind of arrangement the government prepared for them to get it back. He was unable to do it. On several occasions, he extorted Mr. Speaker when he's going for Indigo meeting. These are some of the things that many of them did. And it got to a point that Mr. Speaker said, no, I need to put an end to this.
Okay. Mr. Adegoke, we've come to the end of this session. I want to say thank you very much for giving us your side or your position on the issues at the Lagos State House
Thank you
Assembly.
so much.
All right, and let's also extend a right of reply to the other party speaker, Miranda. A couple of things were said here regarding your leadership as well, and if you have the right of reply, you can reach out to us at any time, and the invitation is open to the other parties and also members of the Lagos State House of Assembly. Here's how we draw the curtains. Stay with us. When we come back on the other side, there is so much. Do not go anywhere. We've got the extra. Stay here. And you're welcome back. Up next, we shift gears to perspectives. As you can see from our the rollout there, is where we take a step back, from the headlines to reflect on deeper societal issues. And today, in honor of Mother Language Day, which is first language, we celebrate the rich linguistics diversity of Nigeria. With over 500 languages of our mother tongues tell the stories, of heritage, identity, and also resilience as well.
Oh, sorry, you were waiting for me to say something. Yeah. So we hit the streets and we got people to actually tell in their language, certain things. Take a look here for perspectives.
Well, learning mother tongue or speak mother tongue is very, very important. Until we can learn from Chinese, Russia, and Germany. They are using their mother tongue to teach their children right from the infant. And they use it in all their education, in their science and everything. And it is very easy for them to understand. And they are able to learn faster than the other foreign language.
It's very important. I've met people whom their mother's tongue has actually helped them in different sectors. You could walk up to somebody, and by the time you speak your mother language, you'd be surprised that long time awaited help you've been looking for, the person might just want to pick interest to help you because you actually spoke your mother's language. which the person can relate to?
Yes, we are Nigerians, Africa, that very, very important for us to know our mother tongue. It's very, very important because we cannot deny the fact that this is where we come from. We cannot be the white, and they cannot be us. So we have to do much of our own than their own. So speaking our mother tongue is very, very important. Very, very important.
Well, there's no to say. Nobody should tell you that your mother tongue is important. And the reason behind it is that your mother tongue is your original person. You understand? I saw a line yesterday of a school where they were teaching them how to speak phonetics. It's not important. Speak your language. Be original. That's where people will recognize you and respect you. So it's very important that we emphasize it. Speak it to your children. Let them understand how to speak your mother tongue. It can help them anywhere. Your mother tongue is very, very important. And I think Nigerians should align with that thought.
I am from Otukpo, Upu village, to be precisely in Otukpo local government of Borno State. My mother tongue is Idoma. And Idoma, until Tejenja Enya, okay, check ba. Konyo ye koke puchola danu. Uchola da anu ye important fi okunya. Kalo ke egbo kalo echo kege no country akele a ko echo koke togla ya lalo. Alo lego hana lo nyong idomola dam.
Ohun tí mo rí ni pé ká má sọ ìrètí nù. Kò sí nǹkan tó níbẹ̀rẹ̀ tí kì í lópin. Then ó dẹ̀ dá ká jẹ́ káwọn ọmọ wa kán máa kọ́ èdè wa. Pàápàá, let me say about Yorùbá, nípa Yorùbá pàápàá, because ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn Yorùbá wọn jẹ́ káwọn ọmọ kó sọ èdè Yorùbá. And at the same time, òyìnbó tó ń kọ́ náà, ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn ò lè sọ dáadáa. I think mo gbọ́ pé àwọn ìlú òyìnbó kan wọ́n ti ń kọ́ èdè Yorùbá. Ní ìrètí wípé ńgbà tí àwa ò bá ní olùkọ́ èdè Yorùbá mọ́, àwọn á padà wá, wọ́n á máa kọ́ wa. So ilé ó jẹ́ nǹkan tó burú. So á da ká máa kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa ní èdè wa, èdè abínibí wa. Tó bá ṣeé ṣe kán máa fi kọ́ ọ níṣirò àti ìmọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ science. Mo rò kó máa rọrùn fún ọ láti mọ̀. So nípa ti orílẹ̀-èdè, bí ọdún díẹ̀ sẹ́yìn, mo ní olùkọ́ kan ní Amẹ́ríkà. Mo wá ń sọ̀rọ̀ àwọn tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lórílẹ̀-èdè. Wọ́n wá ń sọ fún mi pé ìlú òyìnbó Amẹ́ríkà tá à ń rí yẹn pé wọ́n ti la irú tá à ń là kọjá ẹ̀ pé nígbà yẹn gangan ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ bínú para ẹ̀ nítorí pé wọ́n rò pé kò sí rètí mọ́.
Wasi walk biton de toro dia. Amfredo iko usem e kangen. Somo yao tang iko me mufo. Ame diong tang usem fo. Ame diong tang iko kangen. Ame diong tang iko kang fo. Ame kere Johansen to kwai bong beng etilan. Somo yalo ko fin si bam fan. A follow de tai iko kangen. O follow de tai iko kang fo. Sumfan make sure ke me tang iko me frewo. Ame ko zentang.
Moti anka sewe se anyo. Ngumaru Benue shaka sina la local government. Do se te semba ye se zwati. She said te semba ye se la menjo ye se kwa. Do se do la men pishe. Ku se da henen zo totetiga. Te semba ye ni la menzo weni. She ne pa la menzo weni pa.
Orúkọ mi rí Ọmọ́túndé Adébọ̀wálé David. Ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú-Gbóré mi wà. Ìjẹ̀bú Parakúrẹ́ mi jẹ́ o. Iye mi ọmọ ọjọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ mi jẹ́ bá mi ọmọ Òkè Ṣọ̀pẹ̀ rí Ìjẹ̀bú Igbó. Bùdẹ́ mi ṣiṣẹ́ pẹ̀lú àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ mi ní New Central Television lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ Hawaii. Inú mi dùn fọmúlé sọ̀jẹ̀bú o. Ìwọlé ìṣèdè ìlú rẹ̀ bí.
Aha m bụ Odo Eberechukwu. Abụ m onye Nsụka. Obi dị m ụtọ ịbụ nwa agbọghọ Igbo. Ana m asa asụ Igbo m ọfụma. Kedu maka gị?
Ọmọ Yorùbá o, orúkọ mi ni Ìgbàláníyì Ọmọníyì. Ọmọ Yorùbá ni mí torí Yorùbá kún fún àṣà, ìṣe, àlàáfíà, ìwà, ìbọ̀wọ̀ fágbà, oríṣiríṣi nǹkan. Má sọ àṣà rẹ nù, má sọ ìwà ẹ nù, má sọ èdè ẹ nù. Ṣé kò dùn mọ́ ẹ bí mo ṣe ń sọ èdè Yorùbá yìí ni? Ṣé o lè sọ èdè ẹ?
Badga Umar Yakubu Kirawa, Ishukti Kirawa, Yaufe Yagade Mafa Avunka, Makasun di Kimbi Hibo Apatna.
Aha m bụ Nneọma Obiasụalụ. Ana m enwe mpako maka na m bụ onye Igbo.
ị ga-asụ nwa asụsụ dụ ọ bụrụ na ị mara ka esi asụ ya mụbakwa ka esi asa asụsụ ị mara ebe ọ ga-ebu ga-eje ana m asụkwa nke m ọfụma na-asụkwa nke ndị ọzọ.
Kwa majina naitwa Donald Saola. Mimi ni Mkenya, daima milele Mkenya. Navumilia kuongea Kiswahili. Tafadhali jitahidi kuzungumza Kiswahili.
Nkangene misi maisi semusemnyen zenye sele mguta on di on na mpese ese imagine now semnyen ba at the same time kiko efo ayi no bangpo ama teng mo wikop ke because kiko efo gere usemedi kop de pu prenintre. So young people, if you have the chance to learn your mother tongue, please do, because you never know where it will take you. Parce que regarde-moi aujourd'hui, je parle français, je parle anglais, je travaille ici à New Central, donc tout s'aligne pour moi.
I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she does it. She is so.
That was fantastic. So pick out your best. Who's your best one?
Of course, Kathleen. Of course, Kathleen.
I will say Aswalo. Ms. Aswalo was great. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because when you speak Igbo,
there's
it
a pride.
is not complete without the facial expression.
Yeah, there
I can see her stance.
I love the Igbo women. Leah's language is beautiful. Leah. Her language is,
she's from Benue State?
Yeah, she's from Benue State.
I can't remember what it was again. That was beautiful.
Steve. Her language is, the way he hits.
It okay?
I love it. Well, those are to you, Leah and Catherine, for sure.
Here's a challenge to you and I both.
Which is?
Born and raised here in Lagos.
Okay.
To parents who, in your case, speak two different languages. My parents speak Isoko.
Yeah.
And when you're born in Lagos and you speak Isoko, well, people find that very interesting because it's a very complex language.
Right.
I'll use my name as an example. Maziakwano is a very complex name, and that's the full name. It's shortened to Mazino, and then shortened to Zeno, and then shortened to Z, depending on how intimate we get. However, it is a testament that you can actually still grab onto language, even if you're outside of the vicinity, outside of the tradition, outside of the culture.
Right.
It will, however, sound different. Whether you like it or not, there will be that Lagos nuance to your language. Now, I say that to say this. Joe Hansen speaks very pristine, what now? Ibibio. And he grew up in Lagos here. I'm absolutely jealous that he cracks that and I couldn't crack it when it comes to my language. I can speak, but not.
He can rap in Ibibio for all it's worth.
That's a good one.
He can rap in Ibibio. So what's the assignment?
What's the assignment? The assignment is that you and I need to go back to our roots and really get the intonation into our language.
I've gone back to my roots now.
Yeah, try and speak it, not just go back. Speak the languages.
I can hear it.
In your case.
I can hear it. No, proficiency means finding somebody that you can always converse with. I wish there was a Duolingo for our languages. You know what I mean? That would be easy. You know what I mean? That would be so much easier, right? Because another thing I want to add to this, you know, I wish that there was somebody that I could, you know, converse with. So there's a proficiency, and they had the patience to teach me, because my own has passed beginner level. Do you get what I mean? But then also, this is also a call to parents as well, and you know, and parents who are speaking the language, who can speak the language. The Yorubas do this fluently, the Hausa do this fluently, the Igbos do this fluently.
Everybody else
Those are three major languages, but the others not so much. And so here's my call to you: if you have children, now is the time, you know, to be very intentional.
That's gonna be a problem.
Teaching them the language is very intentional. In fact, my dad wanted to, what my dad did was that he made sure that all of his children went back to Cross River for the university, but it did not work, because we still did not hear it.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. I don't know what made him think that going back to Calabar would make us learn the language.
This is what he might have done that could have helped. Now, in my situation, I speak Isoko. My wife does not, because she's half and half.
Yeah.
She's Igbo and Isoko. My daughter faces the problem of not knowing Isoko, so we send her back to the grandparents for her to be able to imbibe some. However, I did something interesting lately. I got her an Isoko Bible. And
is like jumping.
No, she loves to read.
Right.
So what she does is she juxtaposes English and Isoko, and then she reads. So she's found her own way.
Gotcha.
You know,
gotcha.
Taking us away from the equation, she's found her own way to actually try and learn Isoko. So maybe you could try that as well with your kids, especially if you're here in Lagos, where we are bombarded by different cultures, different languages. Here in Lagos, do you speak Yoruba?
Yes, I do now.
Let's have it then.
Mogboyin, Ede Yoruba, Mo Wasinu Bayim now.
Oh my God, they're yelling in my ear. Everybody is scattered. It's like, are we taking a break now?
I was born in Lagos. I went to school in Osun State. I can't want to be precise. Can I speak the language? Absolutely not. But you cannot beat me Yoruba. You cannot even sell me Yoruba because I will catch you. I know what you're saying. Mogboyin,
Judith, please stop.
Sorry.
Let's stop, please. Can we do sports now, real quick? Can we
Favor,
move on to sports?
Favor is here, by the way. Favoritism is on standby.
Favor, you're going to do this in your native tongue, if you don't mind, just
and
for starters. Yeah, what are you, Favor? Where are you from? And let's have it.
Well, South Nigeria, Edo State, and of course we have several languages in Edo State. We have Benin, we have Ishan.
Well, are you really Edo? All this while I thought you were Akwa Ibom.
No, I'm from Edo State.
Sorry. Favor, I don't get this.
Itwa?
Yeah, where's that from?
Well, Edo State, East and West local government area.
Well, say something in the language then, Favor.
But yeah, Ofure, we're led by Wabilo.
So both of your parents are from Edo State?
Yes, of course.
That is wild. I never knew that.
Well, of course, we're in Nigeria, so we go different parts of Nigeria, from the west to the south to the east to the north.
So what other languages then do you speak besides?
Well, I understand Yoruba.
He understands. He doesn't speak it.
I speak it. So come and beat me.
I mean, understand.
These are just greetings. Favor, please. Bring us sports. Don't do it in Yoruba, however. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, good morning, and of course, welcome to Sports on Breakfast Extra. I'm Favor Itwa. We'll begin with stories from basketball, where Nigeria's senior men's basketball team, the Tigers, revived their 2025 FIBA AfroBasket qualification hopes with a crucial 75-70 victory over Libya in Tripoli. Now, after 3 straight losses in the first qualifying phase, the Tigers fought back from a halftime deficit to secure the win. Talib Zana contributed 14 points and 7 rebounds, while Caleb Agada's double-double, 14 points, 10 rebounds, proved vital in the closing minutes. Nigeria now prepares for a key clash against Uganda on Saturday before facing Cape Verde on Sunday. A win in both games could seal their spot at the AfroBasket 2025, keeping their dream of continental glory alive. Away from there, we'll now move on to the Invictus Game, where wounded Nigerian soldiers excelled at the Invictus Game in Vancouver, Canada, winning gold, silver, and bronze despite facing visa challenges. Now, the games, funded by Prince Harry, honor wounded service personnel and veterans. Ruth Simon won gold in rowing, while Nigeria's sitting volleyball team secured silver. Igugbe Festus won bronze in swimming and rowing, and Dinka Gloria added 2 bronze medals in rowing. Nigeria was the only African nation invited, showcasing its athletes' resilience. Now, though visa issues prevented the team captain and officials from attending, 14 athletes represented Nigeria. Derek Kobina, Africa Unconquered Foundation CEO, expressed hopes for Nigeria to host the Invictus Games in 2029, celebrating these heroes on home soil. Interesting times ahead for Nigerian wounded competitors, of course, showcasing what they can also do despite their challenges. We now move on to the world of football, where Ghana's Black Queens suffered a 1-0 defeat to Morocco on Friday in Kim's last Borgi Green's first game as head coach. Now, playing in Pierre Jego, Ghana held off Morocco's early dominance with solid defense in the second half. Doris Badoua set up Sharifatu Somalia for a golden chance, but she missed. The Black Queens' missed opportunity proved costly as Sakina Wazari capitalized on a poor clearance in stoppage time, firing past goalkeeper Cynthia Conlan for the winner. Now, ranked 66th globally and 5th in Africa, Ghana will continue preparations for the 2025 Women's Africa Cup of Nations set for July 5th. International Women's Friendly and Ghana showcasing what they have, but of course, you might want to say it's a good step in the right direction, especially for the new coach at the ends of affairs. But I'll go straight to England, where Leicester City's survivor hopes suffered a major blow as Brentford trashed them 4-0 at the King Power Stadium on Friday. Ruud van Nistelrooy's side remains 2 points from safety, missing a crucial chance to escape the relegation zone. Yone Wissa, Brian Mbeumo, and Christian Nogard dismantled Leicester in the first half before Fabio Carvalho sealed the rout late on. The Foxes have now lost 10 of their last 11 league games, intensifying pressure on Van Nistelrooy. Adding to their misery, Leicester City became the first English top-flight team to lose 6 straight home games without scoring. Now, with just 12 matches left, their Premier League status hangs in the balance. And now to the world of tennis. Mira Andreeva continued an impressive run at the Dubai Tennis Championship, defeating 2022 Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina 6-4, 4-6, 6-3 to reach the final. The 70-year-old Russian, who had already eliminated world number 2 Iga Swiatek in the quarterfinals, won 5 consecutive games in the final set after trailing 3-1. Andreeva is the youngest player to beat 3 Grand Slam champions in a single tournament since Maria Sharapova in 2004. She will face Denmark's Clara Tauson in the final after Tauson overcame Karila Buchova in a grueling 3-set battle. Congratulations to Andreeva, young and pushing, and she's going all the way, and we hope to see if she can, take a step further to win the title. Still talking tennis, Andrei Rublev secured the spot in his quartet quarter open final after a hard-fought 7-5, 6-4, 7-6 victory over Felix Auger-Aliassime in the semifinals. The Russian, who won the tournament in 2020, overcame the Canadians' 21-ace performance in a grueling 2-hour 47-minute match. The 27-year-old will now face British 8th seed Jack Draper in the final. Now, Draper, who defeated Yuri Lehika in 3 sets, is seeking his 3rd career title, but has yet to beat Rublev in their 3 previous meetings. However, his strong run this week guarantees him a career-high ranking, potentially breaking into the world's top 12. All right, interesting times ahead in the world of tennis. And that wraps it up on Sports Update on Breakfast Extra. We'll go on a quick break, and Breakfast Extra continues.
Welcome again. My name is Mizuno Peel. Let's do the headlines for the top of the hour. Now, Nigeria's Senate has condemned the removal of the Borno State Chief Judge Justice Morris Ikpambase by the Borno State House of Assembly, describing it as a constitutional breach. The resolution followed a point of order raised by Abamoro, representing Benue South Senatorial District, describing the decision as unlawful. Other lawmakers expressed their concerns, saying that such action could set a dangerous precedent for political office holders. The South Sudanese army says at least 10 soldiers were killed and 21 others injured in an ambush carried out by armed youth in Upper Nile State. The spokesperson for the army, Lul Rai Kung, said the incident occurred in Nasser town. He accused the armed opposition led by South Sudan's first Vice President Riek Machar of instigating the ongoing incidents in Nasser County and called, and called for mutual respect between the parties. Lul said the armed opposition would be held accountable for violating a ceasefire inked in 2018. But opposition spokesman Lam Paul Gabriel denied the allegations, blaming the army for the attack instead. Clashes between government forces and local residents has already prompted civilians to abandon Nasser town. Now, Tantita Security Service and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, are not relenting in their collaborative efforts to tackle oil theft in the Niger Delta. Their recent meeting in Warri, the oil city, re-emphasized renewed commitment in protecting the nation's mainstay. News Central's Biola Festus here reports.
Since its engagement by the federal government of Nigeria with the task of protecting oil pipelines in the Niger Delta, Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited has been working shoulder to shoulder with various security operatives to dislodge oil thieves in the oil-rich region. One of such security agencies is the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, which is also charged with the responsibility of protecting the nation's critical infrastructure. As partners sharing similar goals, the NSCDC was on an operational visit to the Tantita Security Services in Warri to strengthen their cooperation and strategies on combating oil theft.
I want to tell you that this collaboration is something we value and we want to maintain, and we expect that on your own part, you are going to also keep this collaboration flying, and you are going to help us to achieve more.
Public-private partnerships have proved to be effective measures in service delivery globally. This is evident in the synergy between Tantita Security Services and the NSCDC.
First, I want to thank you for your support your collaboration. We have seen now really that, yes, no service has monopoly of any strategy as far as curbing this menace is concerned. Whether we like it or not, today, as of today, the mainstay of Nigerian economy is still oil. And it is going to be our collective decision, to come together really to protect this very precious gift that God has given us. And we have seen that it is going to be done well when we have private security companies, involved in this kind of business.
Both the NSCDC and Tantita say they are pleased with working relationship between their field personnel and want the collaboration to continue for more success.
I'd like to tell you that Tantita is doing very well as far as we're concerned, because our members, our staff are with you, we are collaborating with you, and you are also doing your best in the area of welfare of the staff, because we have been getting information that they have been taken care of. And so, like you actually also pointed out, we can see that the oil production level capacity has improved. When the whole thing started, it was around 600 to 800, and now we have over 2 million. This is very, very unprecedented. This is good, and I know that the government will encourage all of us. The government will continue to encourage all of us to give our best as far as protection of these pipelines are concerned. So far, we have not. We didn't hear any problem that will make us to disagree.
Tantita has not only brought sanity to the creeks. The streets of Warri, the oil city, are now enjoying relative calm and serenity thanks to Tantita's engagement of youth who were once out of job. Between 2022, when Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited was awarded the pipeline surveillance contract, and December 2024, Nigeria's crude oil output has picked up significantly from about 800,000 barrels per day to 1.8 million barrels per day. In Warri, for News Central, Biola Festus.
And that's it for the headlines this hour. Let's take a short break and we'll resume again for Breakfast Extra.
And welcome back. Now, the federal government has intensified pressure on traders and shop owners to reduce food pricings, citing the economic hardship faced by millions of Nigerians. With inflation soaring and basic commodities becoming increasingly
increasingly unforgettable. I'll help you there. But then, now, with inflation soaring and basic commodities becoming increasingly unaffordable, authorities argue that traders must adjust prices to ease the financial burden on citizens. However, many traders insist that high costs are driven by inflation, transportation expenses, and supply chain disruptions, making price reductions unfeasible without government intervention. The move has sparked debates over whether government mandates can realistically bring down food costs, or if broader economic policies are needed to address the root causes of price hikes. Our customers remain hopeful but skeptical, as previous government interventions have failed to produce long-term solutions. So, to discuss this, joining us is, of course, Mr. Samson Akintaro, Senior Tech Analyst at Nairametrics. You're welcome, Mr. Akintaro. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Yes. This is very, very interesting. How exactly is the government going to mandate that traders who have bought their goods under certain influences and costs added to it should now reduce the price of these goods so that we can enjoy, well, I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's a confusing question, but I'm putting myself in the place of a trader who spent all that money and the government telling me, how can they ensure that this happens?
Well, I don't expect that to happen. And, you know, governments, they always like to show that they are doing something and then try to just say, okay, do this, do that. Even though sometimes, even when government announce they are doing this, they are doing that, they end up not doing it. But what I see is, you know, basing it on the rebased consumer price index, which is the recent inflation data, I don't think it doesn't work that way because, number one, we know the inflation came down just because it was rebased. There was a rebasing.
What is it at now again? The inflation rate?
It's now 20-something.
The headline inflation is 24.48, while food inflation is 26.09.
This is down from...
After the inflation was down, the headline inflation was down from 34.8, while food inflation was down from 39 to 26.
Do you believe it?
Well, you know, it's not a matter of believe it or not, because it is based on recalculation. It's just like saying, okay, I used to divide 10 by 2 before, but now let's change it. Let's divide it by 5. You have a lower result. So that's just what happened, because that doesn't translate to the price, the real price of what people are buying in the market. It doesn't mean that the price has come down like that. So that is just it. So government asking traders to bring down price just by fiat. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
I like the word fiat. I like that word.
And I mean, when you're talking about rebasing and then now asking traders to, you know, be considerate and reduce their price, is any of these measures ever going to restore the glory days, so to speak, when it comes to our economy, food prices and food security?
Yes, you know, if the government can tackle the issue of insecurity, for long we've had cases of farmers unable to go to their farm, and then you see there is limited supply of food in the country. And it's just simple law of economics. The higher the demand, the higher the price. And the lower the supply, the higher the price also. So if the supply is not meeting up with the demand, definitely prices will go up. So if government can address the issue of insecurity that has pursued several farmers from their farms, and then we have more people in the farms producing, they will have increase in production of food. Of course, price will come down. But the reason, another factor why we may not even go back to where we're coming from is the issue of fuel. Now, fuel was being sold maybe like 2 years ago around 200 naira, and it's currently over 900, close to 1,000 naira. So I'm not sure we can go back to that.
Glory days, like Judith puts
so I'm not sure. And if you look at this food supply chain, transportation is very, very important. So if the cost of transportation cannot go back to the old days, then I'm not sure food prices will go back to that time.
All resulting from the hike in petrol price.
Exactly.
Now, the government, however, is saying while we are waiting for the government to say, okay, fix the roads so that we can have better transportation or give us lower costs for fuel, they were pushing this on the government. The government is also pushing it on traders, saying that traders are overpricing the food stocks. So how true is this? How are traders reacting to the government's allegation that they are the ones who are responsible for these price hikes unnecessarily?
Well, you know, the allegation is not just coming now. You know, long before now, we've seen the FCCPC accusing traders of forming cartel to hike price. Even though everybody knew why the prices are going up, inflation, the forex problem and all that, everything is adding up to the cost of what the traders are selling. So,
wait, sorry, I'm sorry. Forex is adding up to the cost. Okay, so I bought egg yesterday at 250 naira per one. That's 1,000 naira for 4. A crate is how many in the crate?
12.
12. No, I think it's 30.
It's 30?
Sorry, I'm a single woman that lives myself, so I only buy 12.
My math is right.
Forgive me.
If my math is right, that's 7,500 naira for a crate of eggs.
Yeah.
How does Forex affect the price of egg in Nigeria, according to you?
The feeds.
Anti-me.
The feeds. They bought the feeds to feed the chicken. You have to feed the chicken. If you ask the vaccines, the feed, if you ask the farmers today, they will tell you the price of feed has gone up like more than 200%. So they need the feed to also to breed the chicken for them to lay egg.
I just got educated.
So the volatility of pricing and the cartels that have been accused, or this cartel, criminal cartels that are formed to increase prices, that means they are justified, giving out volatile and uncertain our political or an economic terrain is, right? You go to the market today, the price of feed is 5,000, you go back, it's jumped to 7,000.
Exactly.
It's 500. I know persons in my life who were importing goods or even going to the market to buy material, and when they go back, it's at an all-time high, and you know they have to call their merchant to be like, sorry, I'm now in the market, they say it's this thing now, the price have changed, you know. So they are justified then?
Well, we cannot rule out the fact that, you know, as Nigeria, some people take advantage of situations. So we see some people, okay, because these prices of this thing is going down, then let's come together, let's also hike the price. So we cannot rule out that fact. But if you also consider the traders as well, of course, they are in the business to survive. So if you keep going to the market and you see the price keep on changing, you also want to plan your business in a way that it remains sustainable. So, and that is why some of them do fixed price and all that. So, but another problem we have in Nigeria is that because a lot of people used to say that whatever goes up in Nigeria doesn't come down.
No.
So, and that is where the people factor also come into play. You know, we also see people that even though when prices of some of their inputs are already coming down, they fail to reduce their prices. So, and you can see the FCCPC also coming up in that aspect, saying, okay, you must bring down price. But if you are saying bring down their prices, have you also tried to weigh in their own costs? Okay, as their costs come down, really, to the level that they can bring down prices. Now, if you are saying, okay, the trader should bring down their price based on the January inflation. The January inflation, we all know how we came about the reduced figure. Even though a survey done by Nairametrics for February shows that, okay, prices of certain food items are already coming down.
Mention which?
Like they mentioned onions, for instance, because we are in harvest season. So for this February, price of onion has come down a bit. We also mentioned, I think...
Did flour, Judith, was flour among?
Flour also. Flour. Yes, we've also seen flour coming down from about 80,000 to about 60,000 naira. But you know that is just this month. The bakers will tell you that, okay, I've stocked my flour since maybe December.
And I have to make, money of it.
Money.
You know.
They can't.
So the prices might reduce, but not just now.
Not immediately,
exactly. And even if it does reduce,
saying.
by what margin might it reduce?
Well, I can't really say. It depends on the cost. You know, they will also have to calculate their own margins also before they arrive at, okay. I know for sure that bakers have association. Before they increase price of bread, they always call a meeting and then they announce that we are increasing by 10%, by 20%. So I believe by now they should be planning to hold their meeting and say, okay, based on the fact that, okay, cost of flour has come down from 80 to about 60 or 65K. So what can we do?
So is the government intervention valid then?
The government intervention
or are we just going to wait for the forces of demand and supply, like you said, to actually regulate itself, or should the government?
You know, for a common food like bread, you don't wait for demand.
I was going to say that because when it comes to Nigeria, and you being an analyst, right? Economics at its very core is human behavior studies, watching human behavior and just see how they respond. But when it comes to Nigeria, it changes the dynamics. When it's very different from textbook economics, if that makes any sense. So just basically, our own behavioral pattern is completely different. So as an analyst watching this, can demand and supply work here? Has it worked here?
For bread, bread doesn't work. It doesn't work for bread. Might as well say people always go for bread. People always demand for bread. It's more like the most common food.
So you need the government to actually interfere in these cases.
Yeah, the government telling them to do this. Bread, also maybe rice. If you don't know that we are aware that okay, price of this thing has come down. So do the needful. But for them, I don't expect them to say, okay, immediately they will do that. Just like I said, some of them might have bought flour maybe since December, and they're at the high cost. So if the price reduction can be sustained for a while, of course, we see them reducing their prices also.
I would say that it's that demand and supply cannot work for bread, particularly for using bread as an entity, because the other commodities or the other ingredients that they need for the bread is also high. Eggs, for example, milk, water, sugar, electricity, sugar, you know, preservatives, whatever it is that they put in there. It's still, eggs are climbing. It's not coming down anytime soon. So if flour is reducing, are the other components coming down? You know, what about manpower? You know, they have to pay for that. There's also electricity as well. Transportation.
Yeah.
Let's not forget transporting the food
I've
from
never
one
seen
point to another.
bread. I thought about all of this going into
Yeah, so,
bread every morning.
So I'm just doing, sorry, my brain, that's how my brain is.
All the factors that affect the price of bread.
Yeah, but if the government insists on causing traders to pull down the prices of commodities in the market, what is the resultant domino effect, whether it's from the traders to the transporters to the producers, the farmers? How is that going to affect the chain backward?
You know, I believe the government can only direct them. I don't think they can enforce it.
Well, if they were to take on the government's suggestion of reducing the price, how would it affect the chain going backward?
No, if they reduce the price, of course, all Nigerians will benefit from it.
So,
and it is not going to affect the cost of transportation.
No, it won't. But would it affect? Well, then I think you just answered it there.
It's not. It's not. Yeah. Price of bread coming down doesn't affect because fuel is the only.
So it will be putting pressure on all the other units of production then.
Right.
It will put pressure on transportation. It will put pressure on farmer. It will put pressure on whoever's doing fertilizers and all of that. So it's not a good idea. So who made that suggestion?
No, I think it's definitely, as you said, it's not a good idea putting pressure on people like that. But I think the government also needs to do a lot on their part. Just like you mentioned, fertilizer, subsidize fertilizer, make fertilizers available for the farmers. If you really want to make prices of food come down, it's a matter of policies. You have to be deliberate about.
What about incentives?
Yes, you can also. That's what I said. I mentioned fertilizer.
Okay, let's help them out here, please.
And maybe also provide loans for farmers. We used to have that under the previous administration.
Free transportation for commodities.
That's also good. Free transportation, because if you look at, even if, let's say, the farmers, let's say in the north, are now producing more than enough and they have all that, if the cost of transportation has not come down, it will also reflect on the price. Because to transport those food from the north down to the south costs a lot of money, and they will factor in the cost of transportation. So I think the government needs to look at all those factors before saying bring down your price.
So I think that stand, or that, I don't know the term to describe it as, was inherited from the military rule, particularly Buhari. Good morning, sir. It was him. It was him. You know, that thing, I've forgotten the operation at the time, where they were forcing, traders and marketers to reduce their prices, even though buying, it came from the 70s, and we sort of inherited it and snowballed it into this time, where you should be looking at policies and, solutions and finding long-lasting and standing solutions, and not changing policies, because, as you said, one administration was giving out loans, the other has scrapped it completely, and have now split the Ministry of Education, Agriculture into two, with the Ministry of Livestock and Husbandry. Can I just say, when I first heard the name husbandry as a child, I was confused.
No, wasn't what you were thinking.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking.
You and all the spinsters in Lagos.
I was young. I said, wait, they manufacture husbands? I was like 5. I said, wait, there is so where is wifery? I was confusion. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. So yeah, just splitting that into two, and it just speaks to, it's indicting on, the ministers of both ministries. As we're heading towards the scorecard series, for the ministerial scorecard series, as we're heading to May 29th for the second administration of President Tinubu, have they done well when it comes to food security, particularly agriculture and livestock?
We have not seen the impact. Whatever they are doing, we've not seen the impact, because prices of food are still high. We've not seen the increase in, all agricultural produce in Nigeria, the cost is still high. So I can't say this is what they have done. Maybe by the time they come out, maybe to do the scorecard for the second anniversary, they may tell us, we've done this, we've done that. Maybe the result will take time. Maybe it's coming over time, perhaps. But let's wait and see.
So how can the government ensure a balance, protecting consumers, because we have to get stuff cheaper, and ensuring that traders are still in business, because this is their livelihood? Where can that balance be met?
The balance comes from your policies. When you are trying to say, okay, put the right policies in place to ensure that these people can do well in their business, Then the businesses will also see that, yes, the government is doing this for us, they are doing this for us. Then you can now tell them, okay, because we are doing this, we also want you to do this. And even when you are already putting the policies in place that is impacting their businesses positively, of course, you don't even need to tell them to say, okay, bring down your prices. Just like mentioned earlier, if you are giving supplying farmers fertilizer or maybe a subsidized rate, that's a deliberate attempt at, okay, say we want food prices to come down. So the farmers that you have provided fertilizers for at subsidized rate, of course, their products also will be at reduced price, will come down. So when you are doing that, when you are doing your own part as a government, you don't even need to direct people to say bring down your prices, because you don't know their cost of production or cost of their business. They also have to factor in a lot of cost inputs before they arrive at their own price. So if those are still high, you can't just direct them or order them to...
What we should be hearing is not the federal government has suggested to traders to lower price the issue, but the federal government has infused funds into making fertilizer cheaper for farmers.
Exactly.
I'll just say this. I think that that move that they constantly make when they tell traders to reduce their prices, I believe is out of touch. You're out of touch with reality if you're going to meet hardworking people who are trying to make ends meet. I mean, let's look at the profit margins, to be fair. If one wants to be fair to look at the profit margins for those who are selling, how much... there's a kiosk just 2 houses away from my apartment, and he happens to also be the gate man for that place. So sometimes, whenever I go, whenever my healthier self goes to shopping, I don't buy treats. And so when I start to have a sweet tongue, I just walk down the road. And then especially when I'm doing my evening walks, and then I just, struck a conversation with him, and I asked him, how much, do you buy a carton of this? And then how much is your profit margin out of it? And how much do you sell? How much inside the cartons? And you find out that their profit margin is 520 naira. 120 naira a carton, 250 naira. So you have to make sure that you sell that thing out at least 4 days or 5 days, so that in a week, because I asked him, okay, so how many cartons do you sell here? It says sometimes it takes him 8 or 9 days to sell out a carton. Because remember, this is a residential apartment, a residential estate. People are living in, they're mostly homeowners, right? So no one, when they go out, they drive out, they're all buying things for their children and they come back. So nobody really buys from him. So it takes him a long time to sell. So that means he waits for a week to get his profit of 520 naira.
Wow.
So anytime they bring out this policy, I believe it's just out of touch. Out of touch of reality to be asking traders to bring out their prices.
Judith was talking about past administration and how this is like a relic from these past administration. You mentioned Buhari. Let's look at the previous interventions that governments have had to have infused into the system. I don't know if to count the Babangida one, which was not really an infusion. He wrote his book. Maybe we should check how SAP helped Nigerian structural adjustment program, or is it stomach adjustment program? I'm going to read your book, sir. In any case, is there any need for such an intervention again in Nigeria? Because we are really still going through so much. Apart from this government asking that traders reduce price, would they very soon be beseeching consumers as well to readjust in their purchases? Do you think we're coming to that? It's grim. But it looks like that's where we're going. Well, if they can't handle the food food pricing issues, then the next people to turn to is maybe people should eat 101.
I've always said
you don't even need an intervention for that.
Because people are doing that already.
People are doing that already since this started maybe since 2023, when the price of fuel has started coming up and going up, and then price of every other thing has started skyrocketing. So people, you don't even need an intervention for that. You see people that do 101 or even some 001 or 001. So that is the loud lifestyle adjustment. People are already doing it. So now when the price of fuel has come to like 1,000 naira, do you have to tell people that you don't have to drive anywhere?
Yeah, no more Friday nights. You can't.
So you don't need to tell people that you don't have to manage how you drive. There are people that are using, maybe you are using a V6 or V8 engine vehicle.
We sold it. we sold it. We saw it coming.
I was in.
There was no intervention for that, because the economy will teach you. It's common sense.
Yeah.
I know someone that used to drive maybe a GLK Benz, but when this fuel war started, then I started seeing him driving a Matrix. So nobody told him, because you have to look at your pocket. Your pocket will teach you.
I was
in
a closed door meeting, and this person who's highly influential, I don't, 1% of the 1%. And he said, look, Judith, I have these cars, all muscles, and I can't drive those cars. And they're just lying down there. I can't even give it to other persons to drive as well because even I cannot maintain them, and I'm the owner of the car. Do you know what that means? If 1% of 1% is telling you, then it must be. As I say, it's out of touch. You cannot manage. Tell them to reduce their price.
Well, I say thank you very much for joining us again. I really enjoyed this session here. Let us hope that 101 or 001 is not your portion.
Amen.
Amen.
Claim it, please. And yes, your pocket will teach you. Put that on a t-shirt. We'll be back for other conversations here inside of Breakfast Extra. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Final conversation here for Breakfast Extra for Saturday installment. For many security agencies, exist to maintain law and order, ensuring citizens can go about their daily lives without fear. However, recent actions by the Ogunechemba security outfit in Anambra State have sparked outrage and concerns over human rights violations. Reports indicate that this group has issued a bizarre warning threatening to arrest women who are not wearing bras or underwear, a move that many describe as both unconstitutional and an overreach of authority. Now, this is the case in Anambra State, and today we are going to be having this conversation. Now, the state government has been quick to respond, with Governor Charles Soludo condemning the threats and clarifying that no such directive has been sanctioned by his administration. Despite this, fears and confusion has gripped residents, particularly women, who now feel unsafe due to the arbitrary enforcement of morality by a non-state security outfit. There are also concerns that this incident may set a dangerous precedent where non-governmental security bodies take the laws into their own hands under the guise of maintaining order. As public outrage grows, civil society organizations are demanding urgent intervention to prevent such violations from escalating.
So joining us now to discuss this development is Dr. Onyeka Y. Onwafo. He is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Yenko Medical Center. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you for doing this with us today. Let's just get started, really, shall we? How do you interpret the Ogunechemba's security outfits directive from an ethical standpoint? What is your take on their security outfits directive on women and their clothing?
Okay, first of all, the security outfit, which has been launched, that has started.
Doctor, please go on.
This issue that has to do with Ogunechemba security outfit that's been launched by the state government currently has started work. But one of the things that has not been so clear is their modus operandi. And we cannot understand that security is a global issue. It's not like a personalized stuff. There have been complicities, issues that have risen from the oppressions. And I think that the plan, I think is not properly planned before the setup. I think it's not properly, there's no formula. The formula they must have used in setting it up has a lot of loopholes. So I think that maybe they need to go back to the drawing board, because the drawing board of everything is very important before you can even take off, to know what you are doing, whether it's security or any other thing. And security, to cry out, is not a media stuff. It's a very serious issue for anybody that is engaging in it, to have a master plan, clear master plan, before the person can be able to kick off and know what he's doing. This is not issue about Anambra only. This is issue when you want to take security serious.
Now, Dr. Mwafo, let's take a look at Anambra in just a second here. The instances that are being raised is that the fact that there are security agencies that are not apparently that are not non-governmental, let's put it that way, that may take matters. In this case, the worry is that these outfits may take matters into their own hands and arbitrarily, well, maybe sentence people to this or that. It also extends to when it comes to securing people's lives or properties and all of that. With these non-governmental agencies that act as security agencies, it's also giving them a hand to overreach and overact. there are cases of extrajudicial killings, not by authorities that are governmental, but by non-governmental authorities that are security. What's your take on these?
See, when you come on issue of extrajudicial killing, this is where the problem rises. Because I could remember there was a report all over social media of 3 boys that the parents were saying they were not kidnappers. And we have not heard anything concerning that till now. And you see, that is a major concern, because when you take out life, an innocent life, you can't bring it back. So there need to be proper check on the activities of Aguneche Mba security outfit. Because when these things are not properly checked, you will see the people who are really doing the security work going off to do so many other things. But these are more of the reason why extrajudicial killing is a very, very bad thing. Whenever it comes, whether it's in Aguneche Mba security, whether it's Aguneche Mba security outfit, or it's even in the police, any other paramilitary agency. So these are things today the government have not been able to debunk or clarify on that particular allegation that filtered everywhere. And you see that people will be much concerned. Because as I said, once a life is taken out, you can't bring it back. And if you take an innocent life out, no matter what you pay the family or whatever it is, it cannot bring the person's life back. But if the person is caught in the act, let him face the consequences, but there should be proper check to avoid extrajudicial killing, because this is not funny if it happens. And they need to clarify the issue already on ground.
Now, Doctor, now that we're talking about security and just extrajudicial killing and all the security outfits, whether by government or non-governmental, let's also talk about the security in and of itself in Anambra. It's been plagued with the sit-at-home order by the indigenous people of Biafra, which is IPOB. There's also the situation of kidnappings as well. And following the news of the death of the kidnapping and death of one of the lawmakers, Justice Azuka, I'd like for you to just give us an insight as well. And we also understand that a member of the family has also been a fallen victim to the security threats in Anambra State.
Can you repeat his question?
It's her, not here. I was asking about the security issues, and now that we're talking about this.
I'm sorry, can you come again?
So what she's asking about is the fact that these security agencies have been implicated in very many and different instances. One of these instances actually involves a relative of yours. So if you can speak to that, is what we're talking about.
It's a relative of what?
Okay, Dr. Onyeka, I'm hoping that this will come clearer. We hear that there's an instance that involves a relative of yours when it comes to extrajudicial killing. So we'd like to talk about that instance. If you do not mind.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Some days back, a cousin of mine who saw kidnappers and was running away from the kidnappers and jumped from the bridge, and this young man died. You see, and this thing happened inside the city. That's why I keep on saying that security takeoff should have a master plan. It is not all about media parole to make things look so nice, to score some point in the media. If these people are very, very serious in doing whatever they are doing, the work should intensify. Like my cousin is dead, it can be, the life cannot be brought back again. Under this administration, 2 people close to me have lost their life. One was my auntie that was killed on her way to church. The second person now is my cousin. These people saw the kidnappers and jumped from the bridge. And the kidnappers shot the other person. And you see, this raises so much concern about the security issue in Anambra State. It has nothing to do with party. It has nothing to do with aspiration. It has everything to do with securing life. Today, my cousin's family has been thrown into mourning. Serious mourning. So they feel so devastated. So you see, imagine the number of other people that we experience such a thing, losing their loved ones, and that's the end. And today, the life cannot be brought back, even if you arrest the people that have done it. So they should go after these people more, not sitting down and making it to look as a media. So I'm saying this whole thing as it's more of like a media stuff. There should be more intense push to push out these kidnappers from Anambra State.
And what is the psychological impact?
It's heartbroken by the death of my cousin.
Okay then. Doctor, what is the psychological impact on the people of Anambra State? And what is the state authority doing so far regarding this impact or effect on them?
The effect on them is so high. It's traumatizing. You know, people might not come out to speak, but...
Instance that involves a relative of yours when it comes to extrajudicial killing. So we'd like to talk about that instance. If you do not mind.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Some days back, a cousin of mine, who saw kidnappers and was running away from the kidnappers and jumped from the bridge, and this young man died. You see, and this thing happened inside the city. That's why I keep on saying that security takeoff should have a master plan. It is not all about media parole to make things look so nice, to score some point in the media. If these people are very, very serious in doing whatever they are doing, the work should intensify. Like my cousin is dead, it can be, the life cannot be brought back again. Under this administration, 2 people close to me have lost their life. One was my auntie that was killed on her way to church. The second person now is my cousin. These people saw the kidnappers and jumped from the bridge. And the kidnappers shot the other person. And you see, this raises so much concern about the security issue in Anambra State. It has nothing to do with party. It has nothing to do with aspiration. It has everything to do with securing life. Today, my cousin's family has been thrown into mourning. Serious mourning. So they feel so devastated. So you see, imagine the number of other people that we experience such a thing, losing their loved ones, and that's the end. And today, the life cannot be brought back, even if you arrest the people that have done it. So they should go after these people more, not sitting down and making it to look as a media. So I'm saying this whole thing as it's more of like a media stuff. There should be more intense push to push out these kidnappers from Anambra State.
And what is the psychological impact?
It's heartbroken by the death of my cousin.
Okay then. Doctor, what is the psychological impact on the people of Anambra State? And what is the state authority doing so far regarding this impact or effect on them?
The effect on them is so high. It's traumatizing. You know, people might not come out to speak, but to a larger extent, the people feel very, very unsafe. Very, very unsafe. And you know, as I said, there needs to be more serious approach. More serious approach to this particular issue. There's more serious approach concerning security. Security is more of intelligence. It is not for the media. Let me give you an example. When the Minister of FCT took over the FCT, we could remember very well that kidnapping was in high rise here. Virtually, you can see cases of kidnapping in different parts of Abuja. Mwike swung into action. Before a couple of weeks and months, Abuja became safe. So this is what I'm saying. People are still afraid. Forget about the launch of the security outfit. They are still afraid. Because if nothing has happened, at least it has affected me sitting down here. I'm a victim of the insecurity. 2 very occasions. People that I love so much, people that are connected to me, they have lost their life. Today, their life cannot be brought back. So a lot of people are going through a lot of psychological effects, even me. So that's why the state government needs to wake up and rise to its responsibility the more. believe that I can still lose my cousin when a security outfit has been launched. After all the media things that were displayed by the security outfit and the state government, and I can still tell here, throughout yesterday, tears was all over my eyes. Tears. I couldn't even imagine that this could happen to someone close to me. So it's only someone that have not paid ransom, someone that have not had his loved one kidnapped, will not understand what is actually going on. This is not politics. This is the fact.
Doctor, it seems to me that this issue is just far beyond a government intervention, because the state government have said that they've asked, the citizens or the indigents or residents of Anambra to come out and not stay at home, for the sit-at-home orders every Monday, but still the persons live in fear. There's also a cultural part of this, and that is the Ohaneze Ndigbo and the other influential cultural groups and elements that are instrumental when it comes to the people. Should they also step in? Is this just far beyond the government? Should Ohaneze Ndigbo and these other cultural, influential political groups that can step in to sort of sway influence over the security and maybe speak to what's going on there?
Security issue is business of everybody. Both the person who is living in Anambra and the person that are from Anambra, but they are not living in Anambra. But first and foremost, the state government has to show the approach, the will to lead before others will follow. Different organizations, even churches, everybody has a key, a role to play when you come to issues of security. Because when you preach against some certain things to make people not to take a wrong route, when you have to advise some youth to make them not to think of a wrong route, but then the state government has greater role to play. Because when the state government kicks off, everybody will key in. But when the government is not serious or is not doing as much needed as it needs to do, how do you expect others to? What they see, what people end up doing is securing their self, securing their community, securing their house. But every organization, whether Ohaneze Ndigbo, any other organization that their agenda stands clear, has a role to play. But the state government has to be the pilot before anybody can start playing role. Because no matter what you say, it is the state government that has the funds. All the other organization does not have budget to fight insecurity. Taxes and levies and federal allocations comes to the state government. So they are the one to kickstart, and every other people will come in. See, nothing stops the state government from calling a security council meeting that expands to other organizations. But that's why I say the seriousness of the state government is key. And I've not seen the 100% seriousness. I cannot give what is happening 100% at this point. Even if I wanted to, losing my cousin have shown me that that this whole thing is more look like because of the 2025 election that is in November. So they want to build the confidence of the people. So why are kidnappers? Only this week alone, I have seen on media, 3 people has been kidnapped in Anambra. So that means these kidnappers doing this are not even afraid that something has been kicked off. Because by now they are supposed to be on their heels at this first time. Even if they have to come back, the normal thing, they're supposed to be on the run immediately. So it shows that a lot has not been taken into consideration on this security issue.
I mean, as you rightfully put, 2025 is just, the elections for November is just around the corner. And whoever is going to continue with the mandate of the people, security is at the forefront. And this is a conversation that continues to evolve. There's also the issue of, drug use and drug abuse in Anambra State as well. And the infiltration of illicit drugs into the state. That's another conversation entirely. And how these feeds into kidnapping, as well as, the proliferation of small arms. But we're out of time. But we must say thank you so much for joining us. And again, our hearts go out to you for the loss of your loved ones. And may their soul rest in peace.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much, Doctor. And that's how we round things off on this conversation and on the show here today. I want to say thank you to our viewers who joined us from 8 a.m. up until now. We have another installment for a Sunday, so if you join us same time tomorrow, we'll bring that to you. But until then, Judith, thank you very much for a grand show.
Thank you for a grand show.
Been interesting this week, and we still aren't done with the week yet. Tomorrow we carry on again and look forward to Judith's monologue from the start. It's always very exciting and dramatic.
Well, I do my best.
We'll be
How would you know that I'm a Nigerian woman?
Something grand. We didn't get to talk much about Trump and Zelensky and Russia.
Oh, God, no.
No,
the king?
No. We'll do that tomorrow. But
the ascension of the king.
Here's our takeout.
He refuses to have elections. It's low in the real Ukrainian polls. I mean, how can you be high with every city is being demolished? It's hard to be high. Somebody said, oh, no, his polls are good. Give me a break. Every city is being demolished. They look like a demolition site, every single one of them. And the only thing he was really good at was playing Joe Biden like a fiddle. He played him like a fiddle. That's an expression we use, yes, sir, to say that he's pretty easy, A dictator without elections. Zelensky better move fast or he's not going to have a country left. Got to move fast.